All right, here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you as we begin to make the turn for home. Hope your week is going well. Thanks for spending part of it with us. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm good, David. Good morning. It was a nice midweek day. Little softball tryouts for the daughter, little golf in the afternoon, little family dinner after softball. So all things equal, a good hump day in the Miller household. I know yours was a little different.
It was, and it was just noticeably colder in the northern half of the state. I mean, it was a 20-plus degree difference between the northern half and the southern half of Florida. I don't know how many states. I mean, I guess California. How many states do you think you can have, that are big enough where a front can go through and you can have about a 22, 23 degree difference between northern part and the southern part? I mean, Texas is wide enough. I guess it's possible. West Texas versus the Dallas, Houston area. But, I think another thing that makes, Florida, Florida.
Boy, there are a lot of things that make Florida, Florida.
Well,
we don't have time on this show to start listing that.
No, we only have 3 hours daily along the network. I don't know if we could do it in a week. I don't know if 15 hours would be enough.
But I would invite everyone to text right now. In your opinion, what makes Florida, Florida? 21,000.
What are we, the Department of Tourism? All right. Hey, we're trying to come up with a new campaign. What do you think makes Florida, Florida? Send us your ideas.
I don't think the Department of Tourism is going to like many of these nominees, David. That's my thought, but maybe they will.
Depends, the mood they're in when they read them. Hey, Pete, get a load of this one. Edgar in Palatka says it's how many people have more than 10 items in the 10-item line at Publix. We've struck a nerve with that because we get once a week, either you, me individually, or the text line at 21,000 get somebody to tell a story and go, yesterday I'm in line and sure enough, 14 items. And I was trying to think, what would Miller and Moulton do? Well, first off, at the very least, we start counting them one at a time out loud. All right, that's the first thing.
That's a Miller and Moulton issue right there.
Yes,
that's a personal problem we both have.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 in the 10-item or less lane.
Society needs people like you guys to do that, though, because I'm too nice to do that. I can't do that. But if you guys do it, maybe it'll wake some of these people up.
It really doesn't.
It depends the people around you. Some people are. I had a guy start applauding behind me one time when I did it. Okay, but I've had a woman behind me go, that's just rude. And I'm like, no, I actually think the 17 items in front of me is rude.
See, that's what I mean. That's the bigger point. And you guys are simply pointing out the bigger point.
Yeah, I was called rude, to which I responded, yes, but at least I can count.
The other thing is the people behind the counter. Some are appreciative of it because they're like, well, you're thinking what I'm thinking, but I can't say it. Or they look at you like, really, you're just making my life difficult. Okay, I can't do anything about this. And of course, I look at them like, I'd stop serving at 10. Obviously you don't want these other 4. I'll put these back.
Which 10 would you like?
Right.
Wouldn't it be great if the machine stopped scanning at 10 items?
Now that. Oh,
why hasn't anyone thought of that yet?
I don't know, but it's the best idea I've ever heard in my life.
Who do we got to talk
Item
to?
11 goes off. Alarms start going off in the store. Whoop, whoop, whoop. You, sir, have 11 items. 11 items. Back of the line.
We need a manager at aisle 4. Manager at aisle 4. Too many items in the express lane. I repeat, too many items in the express lane.
It's a brilliant idea.
Then there's the non-handicap parking pass in the handicap spot. Boy, you better not get out of your car or be walking to your car when I'm near your car, because that's a scene. I actually had a cop told me to take it easy. I go, "You going to give him a ticket?" And he just looked at me and I go, "Really?" I go, "So I can just park wherever I want. Good to know." I was expecting to pull out of the parking lot and have him get in his car and just pull me over and just start writing me up for imaginary stuff. Break my tail light on the way to, the side of my door. I mean, I was expecting it to be a scene like out of Smokey and the Bandit. I just see, Trent, once again, it depends. It depends on the mood of the people that are around us.
And usually it's not the right move.
No.
The right move is just to shut up and move on with life.
But you guys are superheroes of society. All you want is for people to follow the rules. They're simple rules and customs, and you guys just want people to follow them.
I'm going to try that this weekend when I'm in Baltimore. I am David, a superhero of society.
How come that screams Costanza from a Seinfeld episode?
Sure does.
Because half the stuff you guys say does.
It is genuine, though. It is genuine. See, and unlike standing in line in which the people are like, "Oh, look at these yahoos. I don't need to listen to this." See, you make a decision to listen to this show. So we assume that by listening, you're in approval of our quirkiness, of our trying to be a superhero of society.
Which is code for a-hole.
Right.
It really, that is,
Oh, we haven't initiated Trent. Oh, Trent. See, Miller and Moulton have the a-hole of the day moment. All right. And it could come at any time. On air, off air. It's better when it's on air. It is. In which one of us usually does it to the other. And you can get involved too. You could be snarky or you could say something. And Mark will just turn to you and go, "That's the moment right there." That's the a-hole. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. At 12 minutes after 7, the winner of the a-hole moment of the day is Trent Bally. I mean, we can keep score. You're going to lose. You're going to finish a distant third. But just so you know, we give out one of those a day. And we don't really give them out. It just happens.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's organic. It just happens on the show from time to time. And, well, we will then give the award.
And, Trent, that goes back to, oh, my goodness, spring of 2005. And I'm working at the station that you're sitting in. And Mark is about to be hired. And the sales manager in the back of the room says, "David, you've known Mark a long time. How would you describe him?" And I stood up and I said, "Mark's an a-hole," and sat right back down. And then I stood back up and I go, "But I love him and he's great at what he does." But don't get me wrong. Okay. We're not hiring Kumbaya. Everybody's like, ooh, wow.
And that set up what was an illustrious career here.
Yeah. And then, we figured, a-hole meets snark. And why don't we make it a show?
Put that on a t-shirt.
I mean, we went with Miller and Moulton. We could have gone with a-hole and snark. All right.
Hey, at least you came out firing. You're honest. What you see is what you get.
And the good thing is that we switch roles all the time. So there you have it, Trent. Once again, just trying to bring you in.
A little background.
The sanctum.
Right.
Pre-production meeting. Who wants to be a-hole? Who wants to be snark today?
No. We don't. You don't. The a-hole thing just happens. Okay. Just like there are people when we're in line and I start counting, and Mark's done it too. Mark has texted me while in line going 15 items. I've pointed every single one out.
It's a bone of contention.
Yep.
And one by one, we try to solve it.
Yesterday, I had 13 items midday. Went and got 6 waters, 6 Gatorade Zeros, and a sandwich at 13 items. And the guy in the 10 items or less thing saw me and he said, hey. And I went, nope. Went over, stood in line, third in line in the thing right next to him. He goes, no, come here. I go, absolutely not. I'd rather die.
Miller and Moulton saving the world one express lane at a time.
Nope.
I'd rather die.
I would. If I cheat and use a 10 item or less lane, that's it. I've given up on life.
I was actually in, and I've told this story on air, but I was actually in one by mistake. There was a balloon over the thing, and I didn't see it, and I had about 16, 17 items, and someone said something to me, and I was in sheer panic. Threw everything. And like, no. I'm like, oh, yes. Throwing things in my cart. I am so sorry. I apologize to everybody in line. I said, that is my fault. I couldn't be more sorry. And they're all looking at me like, what are you sorry for, man? I'm like, you have no idea.
You have no idea. I'd lose my day job.
Speaking of losing their day job, someone didn't lose their day job yesterday.
You know, we've gotten like 48 or so hours. No one's lost their job in the NFL. At least no head coach. What the heck? What the heck? Was anybody paying attention over the weekend to what took place? Seriously? We're going to bring some of those coaches back on the final years of contracts? What the heck? So explain this to me. Mike McCarthy, 4 years, 1 playoff win. He gets to keep his job. Meanwhile, the entire offensive staff for the Browns, who dealt with arguably the most injuries in the league, offensive coordinator dealt with 5 quarterbacks. The tight ends coach helped deliver Njoku the best year of his career. The running backs coach had a really good running game without Nick Chubb in week 2. They all lost their jobs? What is going on? Are people paying attention? I don't get it. Miller and Moulton, we got a lot to kick around. And how many items do you have?
Get set for the thrill of a lifetime with Mud Wheelers Gone Wild at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. 3 full days of mud, trails, camping, and more. All for ATVs and side-by-sides only. Friday night is movie night. Light up and relax. Compete for cash prizes and more. With events like our new ATV and side-by-side bounty obstacle challenge, side-by-side and barrel races, and scavenger hunt. Don't miss this family-friendly ATV and side-by-side only event at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. Visit redneckmudpark.com for discount tickets and details.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Feeney, is that your John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd little, pep talk before you hit the gas and let's go? Gents, another day killing termites and roaches. Let's do it. Well, Bray, the other thing is that I think a team gets down early in the NBA some nights and they just go, we're done. We don't have Giannis. We're not going to win. Coach, what do you say? Want to play the end of the bench tonight?
They have disappointed, though. The Bucs. That's what you're talking about, right?
The regular season doesn't matter.
Oh, I know, but I think they can.
No. The regular season doesn't matter. Okay, if you said to them, you guys have disappointed, they'd look right at you and go, season doesn't start till mid-April.
I just think if they want to win a title, they should start figuring some of this stuff out. But now is early. You're right. Mid-January is early.
I mean, they are the 2 seed in the East.
Yeah, that kind of puts it into perspective.
I mean, they have the 3rd best record in the league.
We're halfway through the NHL season, David.
Wow.
I had to laugh. I had Fox Sports on the way in, Ben Mahler's show. He had that Eddie Garcia did his midseason hockey.
Here we go.
And gave awards.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. The starting five is a little more than 15 minutes away. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Did we decide to go with that poll question that we were talking about?
I can make it happen really quickly.
All right. So who do you want to coach your NFL team in 2024? Belichick or Harbaugh? Those are the choices. Don't say, Mike Vrabel. Once again, the question is phrased a certain way for a reason. Who do you want coaching your NFL team in 2024? Bill Belichick, Jim Harbaugh. That Mark Miller, I'll eventually get around to retweeting it at the David Moulton, and it'll be posted here momentarily at floridasportsnetwork.com. Mark, you and I don't think Trent, I don't think so, but we're not overly sensitive. I think we can take a body blow. I think we can take an insult. We could take nasty texts and emails and Twix postings because, well, we get them all the time. But some people are sensitive and they can't handle an insult. Did you see the handshake line at the end of the UCF Texas men's basketball game last night?
David, I must say I missed that.
Well, I didn't see it live. I saw it, it was sent out as part of a highlight reel. Rodney Terry is the head coach of Texas. Now, I'm sure he wasn't in a good mood. He lost at home to UCF's first road Big 12 win. We've talked about how difficult it is to win on the road in college basketball. And Texas had a 12-point halftime lead. So I'm sure he's not in a good mood. But Mark, what does Texas do when things are going well?
Well, they hook 'em horns.
Players, fans.
And we all know it. We all know what the symbol is.
Yeah. So if near the end of the game, you're going to beat Texas, what may you be inclined to do as a UCF player?
That's a horns down move.
Yes, it is. Which, after getting 2+ hours of hook 'em horns, on the video boards and tens of, thousands in the stands and cheerleaders surrounding you with hook 'em horns, you may just be inclined to go, ha, 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 ha. Horns down, baby. Rodney Terry's doing the handshake line, shakes the UCF coaches, Johnny Dawkins and company, and gets about 2 players into the players line, and he says, hey, stop that. Stop that. All right? And starts berating some of the UCF players. Don't do that. You're being a blank. Don't do that. Really?
That's where Miller and Moulton would double and triple down. We'd be horns down with both hands.
We would stop. We're not walking through this line. In fact, we're just going to stand at the end of it. Okay. Hook 'em horns down. Horns down, baby. Horns down. Good to see you, Coach. Good to see you. Can't wait to see you again in Orlando. Holla!
What is it with college basketball coaches feeling they need to coach the other team these days?
I just
Had the Alabama coach push the Missouri player a couple of days ago. Now we've got the Texas coach apparently giving life lessons to the UCF team.
don't do that. Okay, it's college sports. Okay, don't talk to me about sportsmanship. Seriously, don't talk to me about sportsmanship. At the highest levels of college sports, it's about winning and money. Okay, that's what it's about. And you can't have a little bit of fun. UCF came into your place, came from 12 down in the half and beat you. Okay, they took the hook 'em horns and they turned them into horns down. Come
And
on.
now, if you want revenge, you can schedule them because you're no longer in their conference anymore. You don't ever have to play them again. This will be it.
Right. Right. Go to Orlando and beat them and walk around proudly in the post game, with hook 'em horns. I Mark, you know what? It's a good thing we are where we are. I just man, the world is very sensitive these days. Very sensitive.
It is, David. I'm amazed that it took a college basketball game for you to realize how sensitive the world is, but whatever it is that gets you there.
Well,
And
it's a daily thing, Mark. Okay?
it really is.
Like I wake up and I know when I go to bed, I go, man, we've lost our sense of humor and we are overly sensitive. But I wake up very hopeful the next day. I go, today is the day we will toughen up and we will get our sense of humor back.
No.
And then I'll see the handshake line between Texas and UCF and go, oh, for goodness sakes. Besides, you're at a football school. They don't even care. They just stole another player from Alabama in the portal. All right. I'm sorry. They didn't steal. They purchased. So,
yeah, they signed a free agent, however you want to call it.
Right. Hey, do you know what the irony is of Alabama's roster, current and incoming, being gutted? If Alabama was not selected for the playoff, Nick would have announced his retirement before the bowl game. They would have hired his replacement, which wouldn't have been Caleb DeBoer because he was getting ready for the semifinals. They would have hired his replacement. Nick would have had his swan song at the, Orange Bowl, whatever bowl. And I don't think 24 guys would have left Alabama because it was before the transfer portal was open. It was before early signing period. Now, since they made the playoff and Nick announced it as late as he did, the roster's open for 30 days. And you got people who committed to Alabama who are like, no, I'm not coming now. Nick's not there. It's the only reason. Have you been to Tuscaloosa? I mean, the only reason I was going was Nick Saban. So I don't think Alabama's roster, incoming and outgoing, would look nearly as bad as it does right now if Alabama had been left out of the playoff. I could be wrong.
Well, I think you're for sure right on the coaching part of it.
But I think they would have been able to keep a lot more guys. So, just irony. That's all. Irony. Congratulations, you're in the playoff. Here's the bad news. You're going to lose, and the timing is going to be the worst possible. Because what can Alabama do now? Replace anybody they're losing. If they had been left out of the playoff, Nick announces his retirement. they could have signed a bunch more guys. They could have taken in 2-3 weeks worth of transfers. Now, not so much.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Jason and Todd with the Diamond District are excited to invite you to their annual Winter Wedding Band Expo, Saturday, January 20th and Sunday the 21st. Jason and Todd with the Diamond District welcome many top wedding band designers to their 6,000 square foot diamond superstore, including M-Fit, My Caroline, Crown Ring, A Jaffe, and more. You'll choose from the largest selection of wedding bands in Southwest Florida and receive 20% off designer retail prices. This is the best time of year to buy your wedding band with the lowest prices and largest selection from America's top bridal designers. Whether your wedding date has been set or you're still deciding, Saturday, January 20th and Sunday the 21st is the perfect time for you to head to the Diamond District and choose your wedding bands. Jason and Todd want to meet you personally and share with you the largest selection of wedding bands and offer you 20% off retail prices during their Winter Wedding Band Expo.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yes, DC, I was at that game. You knew as soon as he missed the kick that Atlanta was going to tie it. Remember, old overtime rules there, and Vikings won the toss. So, I didn't think necessarily they were going to lose, but I did think, we're going to overtime. Maybe, Jimmy. Maybe. But the window wouldn't have opened. They would have had time to keep them. And they would have had time to replace them. Oh.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Poll questions up. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, floridasportsnetwork.com. Okay, 2024. You got a choice. Either one of these guys could be your coach. Belichick or Harbaugh, who would you choose? That's our poll question. Tough one for me. I'm a huge Belichick guy. But I said for today, I'd take Harbaugh because I trust him more offensively. I feel as if Bill's lost his way offensively. And I don't know that Josh McDaniels, is the answer anymore either. He was for a long time. I don't know that he's the answer anymore either. So I think I'd choose Jimmy.
And I'd take Bill. And part of it is just greedy because I want Jim to stay at Michigan. I know Jim's coming to the NFL. I don't want him to.
I did enjoy the Falcons sending out in back-to-back days the tweets that they did. We interviewed Bill Belichick today. Then the next day, we interviewed Jim Harbaugh. Did you interview them or did they interview you?
They interviewed you first and foremost. And secondly, when did teams start putting out press releases that they were interviewing coaches?
Also, did you check with Bill that it was okay? I mean, he might cross you off the list just because you did that. Who knows? 20 minutes before the hour. Time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
number 1, the NFL. Do you know who's not going to be coaching the Dallas Cowboys next year? Either Bill Belichick or Jim Harbaugh. Because Jarrah last night said, I'm sticking with this McCarthy guy. Yeah, we're disappointed, but I believe in him. We believe in him. We're going to get this done together. Anybody convinced? Anybody? By the way, it'll be the final year of his contract, and he didn't get a contract extension. So I think we all know what has to happen in 2024. But then again, that was what needed to happen in 2022 and 2023. Mark, is this the definition of insanity or is this stability?
You know, the answer to that question could be yes. I mean, what we always want teams to not fire coaches, to have some stability, to let this play out instead of just being reactionary. And yet everybody's expecting the Cowboys to be reactionary when they're not. We're almost upset that they weren't.
You know, that could have been a poll question. The Cowboys decided to keep Mike McCarthy. A, definition of insanity. B, stability. Patriots introduced Gerard Mayo as head coach yesterday. He said quite a few things. And let's face it, it's been 20 years now. It's not like the Patriot beat writers have been getting a lot of quotes at press conferences. Gerard Mayo said, quote, I want to rebuild some relationships in the building. Too much was centered around one guy. I'm a new coach. I don't want that. Okay. I don't know if that's a shot or that's just reality. And I want to knock down some silos. Huh.
Grain silos? What?
I think he was referencing like, one-man departments, and just he wants it to be more of a team in the organization. That's what he was getting at.
Okay.
I thought it was funny because Gerard Mayo just happens to be the first black head coach in Patriots history. Come to think of it, isn't he the first black head coach in Boston? Well, or since
No.
Russell, right?
Wasn't Casey Jones the head
Yeah,
coach?
I mean,
all the
had a bunch.
My bad. So he's the first black head coach in Patriots history. And Kraft was asked about it, and he said, yeah, I don't see color. And Mayo was asked about it, and he goes, well, yeah, you see color, because if you don't see color, you can't see racism. So it was a very interesting dichotomy up on the, up on the dais there at the presser. So Lions defensive back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he gave an interview leading up to the Rams game in which he was talking about the Rams wide receivers. And he's like, yeah, this is about as good a group as we faced all year. But then he said, and, if you give that Tampa group a good quarterback, those wide receivers would be a great group too.
Oh, boy.
Well, nobody thought anything about it last week. But now, of course, who are they playing?
Those receivers.
And if Tampa could just get a good quarterback. So Baker Mayfield was asked about it, and he said, CJ's a hell of a player everywhere he's been. And to be honest, I don't think he's watched a lot of tape because one of the receivers he mentioned was Russell Gage. And Russell got hurt in August and hasn't played all year. So I just think CJ's, going off of memory and, maybe when he watches the film, he'll change his mind. It's good to be Baker Mayfield right now. Eagles defensive tackle Fletcher Cox was asked about Nick Sirianni, and he got a little testy with the media. He's like, listen, he's a leader. He's a winner. You all stop it. And I guess there's one Philly member who's got a job and he's about ready to leave. And Cox looked right at him and said, you're a clown. You meathead.
So brotherly love.
Yeah, the Ravens waive running back Melvin Gordon. College football, this is getting interesting between the ACC and Florida State. I give the ACC a little credit. I do. Really? You're going to sue us to leave? Okay, and then you're going to sue us so that you don't have to pay a dime? Well, tell you what, we're going to sue you. Yeah, breach of contract. We're seeking damages. And by the way, we don't have to pay you a dime from this point forward. You want out? Fine, you're out. Financially. We don't think we should have to pay you a dime. And you're damaging the conference, so you owe us money. So there.
And by them suing Florida State, the biggest part of the Florida State suit against the ACC is where the venue will be. They think it's everything. With the ACC suing Florida State, where do you think that case will be tried?
That'll be in North Carolina. Florida's suit, of course, is being Tallahassee. The count is up to 25. 25 Alabama players have transferred from the current roster, and there have been 6 incoming recruits who have decommitted. So that's 31 players who were going to be on the roster for next year who goes, wait, no Nick Saban? I'm out. Arizona has so far lost 9. A name from the past, Major Applewhite, named the new head coach at South Alabama. NBA, major trade yesterday between Indiana and Toronto. Siakam, who's in the final year of his contract and 29 years old, but a good player. And he gives Indiana what they need, which is size and a good two-way player. And boy, could they use some defense. He goes to the Pacers. Toronto gets back 2 solid players and 3 first-round picks. Indiana's convinced they'll be able to sign Siakam long-term. It's an interesting team in Indiana. Don't know if they can beat the big boys in the playoffs, but they're fun. Tragedy with Golden State. Assistant Dejan Milojevic had a heart attack at a team dinner 2 nights ago. He died yesterday at the age of 46. The Warriors game scheduled for Utah last night was understandably postponed. Toronto, shorthanded, whooped up on the Heat. Maybe they were happy to get rid of Siakam. They led the Heat by 35 at the half. 35. They won by 24, 121-97. Orlando lost at the buzzer. DeJounte Murray for the Hawks hit the shot, 106-104. They did cover, though. They were getting 4.5. Cleveland bit Milwaukee by 40. Well, Giannis didn't play. What'd you expect? Boston beat the Spurs by 19, and Luka returned to the Mavs, had a triple-double, but they lost to the Lakers by 17. College hoops. You know, Mark, if you're Miami and you want to beat Florida State, should you bring Mario Cristobal out to warm up the crowd? I mean, how much experience does he have beating Florida State at Miami?
Ooh,
That's a little snark, isn't
that's a shot.
it? That's a little snark.
That might be the a-hole moment of the show so far.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Florida State went to Miami and beat the Canes 84-75. Miami's struggling. They've not
Really
lost.
are. That's 2 bad home losses recently.
Louisville and Florida State back to back. UCF went to Texas, rallied from 12 down at the half to hook them horns, 77-71. Horns down, everybody. By the way, top-ranked UConn, 4th-ranked Carolina, 5th-ranked Houston, 8th-ranked Kentucky, 12th-ranked Arizona, 13th-ranked Auburn, all winners last night. Arizona did not cover, however, Mark. And Bronny played pretty well for USC, who lost by like 14, but the spread was 19.5. Women's hoops, did you hear this story? TCU? They've lost 4 in a row. They've got a bunch of injuries. So many injuries, in fact, they've forfeited their next 2 games. They said, yeah, we don't have enough healthy players. So they forfeited last night's game to K-State, and they're going to forfeit the upcoming game at Iowa State. Tuesday night, they're going to host UCF. They literally are conducting open tryouts today and tomorrow on campus to fill out their roster with players. So if you're a female student at TCU and you play a little pickup ball, it's some intramurals maybe. Want to play in the Big 12 for the rest of the year?
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, forfeiting games, these are revenue-generating sports at some schools. To just tell them, oh, we're not having a game, that's kind of a big deal.
Well, what's also weird is that their last game, they had 10 players play. How many people got hurt? Now, they lost their leading scorer to a knee injury for the rest of the year in the game. But, I mean, forfeit.
Yeah.
And the AD obviously had to sign off on this. So that's interesting. Let's see. NHL, Panthers lost at home in overtime to the Wings 3-2. Florida, after the long winning streaks, on a little bit of a rut. Montreal beat Jersey in Jersey 3-2. And the Blackhawks Sabres game was postponed. Well, there was a travel advisory in Buffalo. You couldn't go out. So, I mean, how can we have the game if no one's allowed to come? So they'll play tonight in Buffalo when apparently they'll be allowed to travel. Bernard Langer announced that this will be his last Masters. He's 66, the 2-time champion, hasn't made the cut the last 2 years. Australian Open, top seed on the women's side, Swiatek was down 4-1 in the third to American Danielle Collins. came back to win the last 5 games and survive. 5th-seeded Jessica Pegula could not, however. She was upset. And a nice win for Sloane Stevens. She advances, knocking out the 14 seed, Casakina. LPGA Tour gets underway today in Orlando. The PGA Tour is playing the American Express out in La Quinta in California. And that, gentlemen, was...
That was the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
You threw those NHL scores in. We're halfway through the NHL season. Basically, every team, with the exception, I think, of Ottawa, has played 41-plus games. Time for Tampa to start getting their act together if they want to be a team in the playoffs. Thanks for listening, Miller and Moulton.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best. And the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd, with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few jewelry stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA-certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA-certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
There were a number of of interviews that I was asked to do following that game against the 49ers, and so I was trying to accommodate as many people as I could. And I finally got showered up, and I went to go get on the bus, and the bus is pulling out and leaving. Jimmy, like he had done with Michael Irvin earlier in the season, they said, Coach, Troy's not on the bus. He says, I don't care. Shut the door. We're out of here. I mean, we won the NFC Championship game. We're going to the Super Bowl. And Jimmy still wouldn't leave for me. I had to ride the media bus to go get back onto the plane.
What was the tweet that you answered 1 to?
Does a case of Miller Lite count as 1 or 24?
Gotcha. Dan Quinn will have 5 head coaching interviews by the time tomorrow is done. He's already interviewed with Carolina and Tennessee. He's got Washington and Seattle today and the Chargers tomorrow.
I mean, this is going to be a great playoff race in the NHL.
Yeah.
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams within 3 points of each other for the 2 wild card spots. And the Wings and Flyers will both come back to the playoffs.
I'll tell you what, I don't know how Tortorella's doing it. I don't know how he's doing it.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Roy Cummings joins us 1 hour from now as we begin to look ahead to the Tampa Bay Bucs. A win away from the NFC Championship game? Oh my goodness, it's reality. Don't know how many people are talking them up. They're double the dog in Detroit that they were at home against Philly. But are the Lions unbeatable? No. They're beatable. Is Detroit better? Absolutely. Detroit beat them in the regular season. Then again, Philly beat them in the regular season. Pressure on the Lions. Or are they playing with house money?
No, I think pressure's on the Lions. I think the pressure is to get past the win. They were so amped up for the game. It was such a big deal. I mean, Trent's talked about it at length. He was at the game. It was such a big deal to the city to get to the playoffs, to host a game, to win a game. Now the reset button after that's the harder button to hit. And that's why I think there's a lot more pressure on the Lions.
Second half, the Rams shut down the Lions running game. And because of it, Detroit only scored 3 points. What if Tampa can slow down Detroit's running game, and then it's Goff in that passing game facing the Bucs blitz?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because according to Pro Football Focus, Goff was blitzed the third most in the NFL this year. 255 times they were blitzed on dropbacks. He completed 65% of his passes, 13 touchdowns and 6 picks. The yards that he threw against the blitz were the most of any quarterback in the league. And only Purdy and Jordan Love completed more touchdown passes while facing a blitz than did Jared Goff. So seemingly, based on the numbers, Goff can handle the blitz.
So blitz at your peril? Is that what you're saying?
Ben Johnson does a great job of scheming guys open quickly so Goff can get the ball out. And it's Amon-Ra St. Brown across the middle, Laporta across the middle. Amon-Ra St. Brown last week, 7 catches, all went for first downs. They do a great job of getting the ball out quick.
Well, there's no doubt if you're the Bucs, you're like, yeah, somebody else has to beat us. I don't know how we're going to blitz and double it out because we got to make him throw the ball to somebody else. And I don't know if you can blitz and double St. Brown. I don't think you can, but I'm just saying they got to take the ball out of his hands. I might show blitz the first half of this game and double St. Brown. But Roy Cummings joining us in an hour. Start to get into the nitty gritty. This is my favorite NFL weekend of the year. This one. Because it's like getting out of the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
8 games. A lot of football, and I know you've always Baltimore and Houston. That one's at 9 right now. Green Bay and San Francisco, 9.5. Detroit and Tampa Bay, 6.5. Kansas City, Buffalo at 3. So it is interesting that we should get better football this weekend. Vegas isn't telling us that we will, David.
Well, and usually this when you're taking on the 2-1 seeds, usually they're solid favorites. And can you give the 1 seed a game? I mean, can Houston and Green Bay give games?
Which one's more likely, do you think? Which one's more likely to be close? Because I think it's Green Bay.
Is that the Lions fan in you?
No. I just think that, and again, it's so Brock Purdy's been great. It's just I can't get over how good Jordan Love has looked, how mediocre Brock Purdy can look if you can get to him. And I think Green Bay is going to just blitz. I still think San Francisco will win, but I think that's a huge number. I think the Packers will cover it.
I think that Jordan Love's got 21 TDs and 1 interception in his last 9 games, I think.
Right.
Yeah, he's been. And on the other side, I just think the Ravens understand this is their moment.
And part of me wants to say it's Baltimore and Houston because, well, I trust Lamar, but there's no reason to trust Lamar in the postseason because it's not gone that well for him. We all know what the Ravens' record is with Lamar in the postseason. And can Houston take advantage of that? Now, I would go, my initial reaction is to go chalk across the board for the 4 games, to take all 4 favorites. But
can make it, I don't want to say watchable because it's playoff football. It'll be watchable no matter what. But if they can make it close and exciting.
21,000 is the text line. 21000 is our number on that side. We had a little technical difficulties. I think everything is back up and running. I can tell, when I see David's eyes blink, when he's frozen, I see no eye movement. When I see an eye roll on the other side of the StreamYard connection, I know he's back.
Oh, I'm back. Just took that little 8-second interlude to throw in about 34 expletives. And
But, like I was saying, David, I would go, my initial reaction is to go all chalk this weekend. It never works out that way.
No.
Someone's going to get beat.
Yeah, it's very rarely 1 versus 2, 1 versus 2. Now, obviously, the 2 seed in the NFC got beat in the first round, but it's very rarely 4 home teams win in the divisional round. Usually there's at least 1 road team that wins. Like last year, Cincinnati went into Buffalo. The year before that, Cincinnati went into Nashville.
If Kansas City goes into Buffalo and beats Buffalo, they're not going to be able to handle it.
No, they will not.
What a roller coaster year for the Bills fan.
You could legitimately be talking about Sean McDermott getting fired.
No, but
so?
I do think emotionally it could be very difficult for this group of Bills to get over this. Because this is the weakest Chiefs team, you could argue, of the last 6 or 7. Of the 6 Mahomes Chiefs playoff teams, you could argue this is the weakest. And you finally get them at your place. And you have no problem beating them at their place in the regular season, but we all know what's happened there in the playoffs. And you get them at your place when you are on as good a roll as you've been on since you've put this group of Bills together. And you can't beat this Chiefs team, then you probably have to start making major personnel changes.
McDermott's been there since 2017. I know he's a good coach. This is the type of thing. If they lose this game and they can't get over that hump, what would that be? 4 losses to the Chiefs in the playoffs? I mean, that's who you're obsessed with. That's who you're tooling your whole team around every single year because you want to beat that team. It might just be 2 things can be true. McDermott's a good coach and he'll get another job somewhere. It might be time to move on in a different direction.
He also has final say on personnel. So you're not just getting rid of a coach. He handpicked the general manager. This is Seattle getting rid of Pete Carroll. That's how much power McDermott has in Buffalo.
And when are they catching the Chiefs, who seem to just finally got their act has been a mess all year long? And what do we see? And I guess, it was obviously against the depleted Dolphins defense, but Rice running all over, catching balls. That gives Kelsey the opportunity to get open a little bit more. The timing of this is perfect for a Chiefs win in Buffalo. And I don't know, it would devastate the Bills. Devastate the Bills.
Okay, Music in our Twitch chat room says, I could argue this is one of the weaker Bills teams of recent years. Yeah, but they're on a roll. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, the team that won the Super Bowl, was not the best Aaron Rodgers Packers team, but it was the team that got on the roll late. And they just ran with it. We see it all the time in a lot of sports, just getting on that roll. Chiefs can win. I mean, that defense is good enough. They got the best player in the league. They got a Hall of Fame coach. They can certainly win. But when's the last time Kansas City showed up for a fight and they weren't the most explosive team on the field?
Or had the best player on the field, or the best coach on the field.
But they have
the best player.
They have the best player. They have the best coach, and they're the more physical team. I mean, that is the one thing about this, David. They're more physical than Buffalo. That defense is legit.
But I don't know if the Chiefs' offense is legit enough, even with Patrick Mahomes. You know, there were times Joe Montana in his prime and the Niners weren't as explosive as they were in other times, and they showed up in playoff situations and they just got beat. You know, they weren't at their best. But you're right, Mark. This could be much more of a defensive slugfest, if you will, than we're used to seeing between these two teams. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Get set for the thrill of a lifetime with Mud Wheelers Gone Wild at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. 3 full days of mud, trails, camping, and more. All for ATVs and side-by-sides only. Friday night is movie night. Ride up and relax. Compete for cash, prizes, and more. With events like our new ATV and side-by-side bounty obstacle challenge, side-by-side and barrel races, and scavenger hunt. Don't miss this family-friendly ATV and side-by-side only event at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. Visit redneckmudpark.com for discount tickets and details.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Jason and Todd with the Diamond District are excited to invite you to their annual Winter Wedding Band Expo. Saturday, January 20th and Sunday the 21st. Jason and Todd with the Diamond District welcome many top wedding band designers to their 6,000 square foot Diamond Superstore, including M-Fit, My Caroline, Crown Ring, A Jaffe, and more. You'll choose from the largest selection of wedding bands in Southwest Florida and receive 20% off designer retail prices. This is the best time of year to buy your wedding band with the lowest prices and largest selection from America's top bridal designers. Whether your wedding date has been set or you're still deciding, Saturday, January 20th and Sunday the 21st is the perfect time for you to head to the Diamond District and choose your wedding bands. Jason and Todd want to meet you personally and share with you the largest selection of wedding bands and offer you 20% off retail prices during their Winter Wedding Band Expo.
At the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, we went down for a second, and then Westwood called me, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good." But we're back on now.
Okay.
I think it must have been when the internet went down.
Boy, you don't get this type of content on Twitch on a daily basis.
No, you don't.
I mean, this is the full Monte here. This is, I should be doing play-by-play.
What's stopping you?
Well, I know he had this little foot procedure, and he's
Yeah.
just putting some, ointment on the toe right now. If we had it a little bit high, if the camera was positioned right, we could see whether or not he spilled it, because I think he spilled early on.
Doesn't sound.
A lot of grunting, a lot of groaning.
Sounds like there's some pain.
There's definite
involved.
pain. He needs Sergeant Hulka right now.
I could use a new big toe. That was not fun.
I did play-by-play.
Okay.
Did you spill some of the ointment, or was it just a groan of putting it on?
It was a groan because it didn't stay.
Ah, okay.
It was a
I had to
frustration groan.
Do it again. Plus, it is starting to hurt for the first time today.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Roy Cummings in about 40 minutes. And also, we'll talk a little business. Because, well, we got a lot going on in the sports world. Kurt Badenhausen. No, we're going to have him on today. Thought we'd have him earlier in the week, but we're getting him today. Between the Amazon RSN deals, the ESPN NFL deal, apparently it could not also be with the NFL. Apparently the NBA may get involved. I mean, we got a lot to talk about. That's coming up in the 8 o'clock hour.
Poll question is a very simple one. For your NFL team, who would you want to coach in 2024? Jim Harbaugh or Bill Belichick? And right now, Jim Harbaugh is getting 3/4 of the vote.
Who?
Harbaugh is getting 75% of the vote.
Well, he didn't lose a lot of games in the last year, and the other guy did. And
the other guy's named Bill Belichick.
I understand that, Mark. Listen,
you picked Harbaugh. I can't believe you picked Harbaugh.
I did. I'm a little concerned about Bill offensively. He would just have to answer a few questions for me. Bill, are we going down the Josh McDaniels route again? Okay. I just watched Josh McDaniels for a year and a half in Las Vegas. It didn't work. Why is it going to work now? Has this offense run its course? That's all, Bill. Or is there somebody else that you're going to bring in here? I know Bill knows offense. Hell, Bill went out and got Moss and traded for Welker, and the 2007 Patriots offense is the best offense I've ever seen. I know he knows offense, right? But lately, the people he's hired, the personnel decisions he's made, I know exactly what I'm getting tomorrow with Jim Harbaugh. I do. Exactly.
And we're asking this question in a vacuum, like which one would you rather have? But how much of it does depend on the fit? Because if you're talking about going to LA, the Chargers, it's got to be Harbaugh over Belichick. But if you're
Why? I'm going to stop you right there.
Because you're bringing the quarterback whisperer, the guy who's had West Coast success, back to the NFL, and you're giving
the Chargers' problems have
Herbert.
been as much on the defensive side of the ball as they've been on the offensive side of the ball.
That's true, but it is
the offense. I've got a quarterback. Bill's been just fine when he's had a quarterback. What they need is to stop their opposition. I'm not saying that you're wrong, Trent, but I'm saying you're not to me 100. That's not 100% slam dunk.
So
maybe
everybody
else thinks it does.
It doesn't have to be Harbaugh then, but I think it would be. But then conversely, if you're talking about like an Atlanta job where you need a little bit more oomph, you got to retool the roster a little bit, work around those pieces. That's where Bill would be at his best.
Atlanta needs a quarterback. Atlanta would win 12 games next year with Kirk Cousins. Same roster, Kirk Cousins, they'd go 12-5. I'm absolutely convinced of that. They had horrible quarterback play, all right, and the coach didn't do anything to make it better either. And by the end, they stopped playing for him. Once they lost to Carolina, that team was done.
Losing to Carolina will do that to a team.
It sure will, Mark. It sure will. Coming up next segment, by the way, much has been made of the Packers are the youngest team in the NFL. Well, we're actually going to point out, so who are the youngest and oldest teams in the NFL and how many of them are in the playoffs? And some of the teams on the younger and older list may really surprise you. It's coming up next segment.
But right now, it's time for our Molly Maid play of the day. Trent, what do you have for us?
So you're telling me that one of my teams played a Florida team. Both teams are playoff bound. It went to overtime, and my team won. It sounds like the perfect excuse for me to squeeze this in as the Molly Maid play of the day. Once again, we go across Alligator Alley where the Panthers are hosting the sizzling Red Wings. Sam Reinhart got things going for Florida, but we got overtime at 2-2, and that's when Detroit's captain and hometown kid Dylan Larkin called game. Oh, no.
Goes back to Gostisbehere again. Up high with it. Larkin. Yeah! He scores! Red Wings win it. They're third in the Atlantic. 3-2. Comeback victory. They've done it again. 6-0-1 their past 7 games. 3 straight victories. There is no quit in this Red Wing team.
Got a little ahead of myself. Forgive me on the technical difficulties. Larkin nets it on the power play with just over a minute to play, and the Wings leave Sunrise with a win. Third in the Atlantic, Mark. They're hot, and there's your Molly Maid play of the day.
That has been a very streaky team because they had a 3-week period of time a couple of weeks ago in which who wouldn't have beaten the Wings?
Oh, they lost to San Jose, didn't they? I mean,
yeah, they did.
But that's the Molly Maid play of the day. 774-5839. That's 239-774-5839. Give your spouse the gift of a clean house.
Look at that. Look at that. Put that on a T-shirt and sell it. Yeah. Not like some of the stuff that we put on T-shirts and don't sell.
A lot of T-shirt ideas.
Oh, my goodness. We should run a T-shirt shop. We have so many damn ideas.
I think you guys mentioned T-shirt at least once every show.
If you spend a year in radio, and not only that, Mark has spent a career in either radio or minor league sports. Mark, how many T-shirts have been shot in the crowd while you've been broadcasting games or you've been the marketing director?
Tens of thousands, David, and it's not enough because unless everybody gets a free T-shirt, somebody's pissed off.
Exactly. And Trent, if you don't know by now, we could come up with the best poll questions, the best subject matter. Phones can light up, thousands of texts. It's nothing like, hey, how about if we give away a T-shirt?
What about at minor league hockey games when they shoot hot dogs out of the cannon?
Hey, shooting anything out of the cannon.
It's always electric. Gets the people jumping.
Trent, in the early days of Miller and Moulton, actually not, because by the time we got together, the station we were on had listeners and so we didn't have to resort to this. But Mark, I don't know if you ever did this, because Mark was in the mornings and I was in the afternoon. And during the off season, sometimes it'd be slow. And we relied on phone calls then, and the phone calls weren't coming. And I literally one show turned to the producer and said, let's give away some T-shirts. And he looked at me and I go, I just want to see if the phones are working. I want to see if anybody's listening. And sure enough, we go, 7th caller, and boom, Christmas tree. And it's like, well, apparently the phones work. The show just sucks.
And you don't want to call unless we're giving you something for free.
Right.
And we don't have anything to give you, and we don't have a phone number. So you can text us and suggest what you'd like us to give to you for free, but we don't have anything.
I could argue you guys hand out winners on Fridays.
Not this past week.
No, we were, let's see, you were 2-4 against the number. I was 3-3 against the number. I don't know if either one of us was better than 3-3 head straight up either.
No, I was worse because we both got the Rams with the number, but.
Right, we both went with the Rams. You went with the Dolphins. You tried to do the whole sentimental thing there. That came back to bite you. Yeah, you fell victim. You know. Well,
Hard Knocks did it again, David.
You backed yourself into the corner. You did I said they were going to lose to the Bills, but they were going to beat the Chiefs. Of course, 9 guys got hurt from the time you said that until the time the game was played. Miller and Moulton. When we come back, the oldest and the youngest, and the answers may very well surprise you. Miller and Moulton, Roy Cummings, Kurt Badenhausen in the 8 o'clock hour right here on the Florida Sports Network.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. At least you're an alum. See, I've got no problem with Michigan alums. You're a very smart man. You went to a great institution.
I can take the chirping from a Michigan alum. That's totally fine.
Yeah, it's the Michigan fans that we have a problem with, Chi-Town.
Yeah, you're all good.
Yeah. You win.
I'm actually glad to see that this morning. That, it's nice to hear you've got an alums talking some smack.
Because I would have, speaking of spelling, I don't know if Michigan fans can spell alum.
That's a pretty good line.
there a cracker with that cheese, or is that just a big hunk of cheese?
It's a Pop-Tart.
It's a Pop-Tart? Looked like a piece of cheese. Okay. And besides, you usually don't do breakfast for breakfast, David. Usually you go right to lunch. You and my mother. So would we, Chi-Town. So would we.
Oh, yeah. Heard that once or twice.
I sold shirts when I was there that said, "Let George diet."
Oh.
And in Austin, they're sensitive about the horns down.
Right.
Yeah. Come on.
If you're that soft, coach, how's your team? So I was thinking of you yesterday, Mark, when they were doing the toe, because you had kind of, you know, you didn't get squeamish. You were just like, I don't need to hear this.
Yeah, I don't need to hear about an ingrown toe. That's all.
And so the doc's like, so here's the deal. I'm gonna numb you. You're not gonna feel a thing. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna slice it all down the side. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna get everything out. Then I'm gonna put the acid on it, and I'm gonna burn everything so nothing grows back. I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking of Mark going, should I video this? Should I send this to him?
I like the person on there that said, is there a TikTok account for the toe?
It's not for the guy with the toe.
How about North Texas? Did you see the highlight of that? That's on the play.
Oh,
I saw they beat East Carolina.
Carolina.
It was a full court length pass to.
When the ball's in the air, the guy receiving the pass shoves the defender in front of him.
Yeah.
Catches it, goes up.
South Florida's on tonight against Memphis on ESPN.
The power of Penny.
No, I know, but wow.
Well, the problem is, what conferences play tonight? Most conferences are Mondays, Wednesdays, or Saturdays.
There's some Big Ten action tonight.
Yeah, well.
There's some A-Sun action tonight.
Oh, what a dream night for me. Sparty plays at 6:30.
And it's not on Peacock. It's on
although I
FS1.
can't. I get soccer practice, so I won't be able to watch it.
By the way, John Fanta, Bill Raftery on the call last night. That was a good listen.
I love Bill Raftery.
For which game?
It was UConn and Creighton.
Bill Raftery is maybe my favorite.
Well, Raft doing Big East. He's
Yes.
into the Big East.
Amazing.
He's coached in the Big East.
Here we go.
And John Fanta's all Big East.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the top of the hour. Roy Cummings at the top of the hour as we begin to look ahead. Bucs, Lions, how much of a shot we giving Tampa Bay to go to the NFC Championship game? You know, this is only the second time they've ever met in the playoffs. First time they met was the very last game in the Big Sombrero. That was the playoff debut for Dungy and company. And they held Barry Sanders to like 35 yards or something like that. Beat him 20-10.
I mean, if you'd have told me it was their first meeting, it wouldn't have surprised me. These are teams that don't make the playoffs very often.
No, it's true. That's true. Never mind in the same year. We could probably.
Well, they were in the same
that.
division for a long time as well.
Right.
So it would be tough for both of them to make it.
The old Central.
The NFC Norris.
There you go, Chris Berman. I was waiting for it. So, hey, I don't know if you guys have heard, but the Packers are the youngest team in the league. Has anybody pointed that out this year? So, it got Bill Barnwell and a few others to go, well, so who are the young teams and who are the old teams? So what do you want to start with, Mark? Young or old?
Old.
Okay.
Like us.
Oldest team in the league is New Orleans. Average player is over 28 years of age. Just so you know, the difference between oldest and youngest is 2.5 years. Green Bay's average player is 25.7 years old. New Orleans' average player is 28.2. So give you an idea there. But New Orleans, the oldest. Eagles, second oldest.
Mm-hmm.
Niners, third oldest. This group here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. McCaffrey's, not 25 anymore. Right. The Houston Texans are the fourth oldest team in the league. That's got to surprise you, right? Because what are we thinking? First year coach, CJ Stroud, Will Anderson, the really nice wide receiver they drafted in the third round before he got hurt late in the year. We're thinking about Houston, young. Not necessarily. Buffalo, fifth oldest team in the league. Dolphins and Broncos tied for the sixth oldest team in the league. Patriots and Steelers tied for the eighth oldest team in the league, with Dallas, the Raiders, the Vikings, and the Ravens just after that. So the Ravens are like 12. Youngest, you ready? Hey, did you hear the Packers are the youngest team in the league?
I've heard that.
Okay. Second youngest, the Giants. Third youngest, the Bears. Fourth youngest, the Cardinals. Fifth youngest, the Lions. How about that for an interesting division? 3 of the 5 youngest teams in the league are the Packers, the Bears, and the Lions. 2 of whom are in the playoffs, and the other we think is poised to get good next year. Right? They won 7 games this year.
They got a decision to make. That's the big question mark. But yes, you're right.
Well, and the difference between the Lions and the Texans, just because you think of both of them as young, the Texans line is much older on both sides of the ball. You think of the Lions, you got Sewell, who's a young guy, you got Hutchinson, who's a young guy. The key pieces of the Detroit line's young. The key pieces of a lot of the Houston line's a little bit older.
For what it's worth, Tampa Bay is the 8th youngest team in the league. So they're in the bottom quarter of the league. Think about the job Jason Light did this year. They went from being one of the oldest teams in the league to being one of the youngest teams in the league. And they took the cap hit for everything that they sacrificed to have the 3-year run with Brady. And now going forward, they don't have any further cap hit. And they look at the roster and they go, well, yeah, we need to improve it, but there's not a ton of dead weight. How about the Chiefs, who are actually a tick younger than the Bucs? Kansas City's the 7th youngest team in the league.
They have to be.
They're kind of in that New England territory where they draft guys and then they're done.
Well, but they also, they've got a lot invested in their quarterback now.
Right.
Forces you to get younger.
And
but New England's lousy, and they're the 8th oldest team in the league. The Chiefs are a Super Bowl contender, and they're the 6th youngest. That's a hell of a job by the Chiefs.
A lot of that probably has to do with, remember when Belichick a couple off seasons ago went and dumped a ton of money into the Jonnu Smiths and Hunter Henrys of the world?
Yeah, absolutely.
At all.
Yep. So Jacksonville's kind of in the middle. They're 18th. Average age, 27 years old. So, and like we said, there's only a 2.5-year difference between oldest and youngest. So, a lot of times, a team can be 7th and a team can be 14th, and they're separated by, 3 months on average of their players and how old they are. But it is also interesting that they break it down by unit. Like the Rams, they have the 6th oldest offense. They have the 26th oldest defense. Oh, okay. The Chargers have the 6th youngest offense, but their defense is on the older side. So, but the Saints the oldest, the Packers the youngest.
I heard that about the Packers.
Yeah.
In fact, I might have heard it on this show today, earlier.
Think about that, by the way. The Saints are the oldest, and they're $74 million over the cap. They will enter the quote off season with, I believe, the 3rd biggest cap deficit that they have to get down to by March 17th since they've had salary caps in the NFL. And Mickey Loomis is like, yeah, I do this every year. I'll figure it out. We have so many cans kicked down the road. We need somebody to pick them up with a plastic bag and do some recycling.
And they're bad.
Well, they're 9-8.
Yeah, but they're 9-8 in the NFC South.
I understand. By the way, when the Saints got rid of their offensive staff, the word is they're greasing the skids for Gruden. That whether they bring him back and officially name him offensive coordinator, or they do a Nick Saban thing at Alabama, in which, guys become interns or analysts or whatever. But that the feeling is, Dennis Allen and Gruden are tight, and Derek Carr and Gruden. Carr loved Gruden's offense. And the feeling is that John Gruden's going to be calling plays next year in New Orleans. We'll see if they go through with it.
How many coaches that are suing the league are currently employed by the NFL right now?
Let's say that'd be 2, right?
Yes.
Gruden and Flores?
Yes.
Well, I was going to say Brian Flores can be defense coordinator of the Vikings. Why can't Gruden be offensive coordinator of the Saints?
Hey, maybe you bring Flores down with the Saints and put them both on the same staff, because we all know how much the Saints and their fan base thinks of Roger Goodell.
Exactly. I will say Monday night inside of Ray J, and you're looking around at who the Bucs have honored. And remember, they put Gruden in their Ring of Honor. And then when the emails, or I think they were emails and not text, when the emails were released and Gruden had some inflammatory things to say about certain groups of people, the Bucs took him out of the Ring of Honor. When you look at who's in the Ring of Honor, I just found myself standing there going, this is not a Ring of Honor for quality human beings here. This is a Ring of Honor for what they've done for this franchise. I mean, Bruce Arians is in the Ring of Honor. Shouldn't John Gruden be in the Ring of Honor? Can you put someone back in after you've taken them out?
It's like putting them in timeout, and then after 10 years, you're like, all right, you can come back in.
Just like giving someone back their banner.
Well, remember, we put them in, we took them out. Okay, now can you put them back in again? Has that ever happened
No.
anywhere where 10 years goes by and they go, look at things a little differently now. You made a mistake, but you know what? We made a mistake in not standing by you.
Are we becoming more or less sensitive?
The answer is a capital more.
Which makes it more or less likely that they would ever put someone back into the Ring of Honor for sensitivity. Come on.
Okay. Here's the deal, though. Have you ever been to Highmark Stadium in Buffalo? You do know O.J. Simpson's still in the Ring of Honor, right? Or whatever it is they call it. I mean, they haven't taken O.J. out. Now, you could argue maybe they should have, but they haven't. Why? Because the football player was maybe the best one we've ever had. I mean, no. I mean, we're not rating them as human beings there.
No, we don't have. We put their number next to them, not what they are as a quality human. You are right.
It doesn't say 32 on the left side of his name and minus 19 on the right.
Well, aren't the Ravens honoring Ray Rice, or didn't they do it at the end of the season, I think?
Yeah. I don't know about Ray, but I mean, they have a statue of Ray Lewis, who also wasn't the.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Slippery slope. Very interesting, though.
No, to me, listen, is this sports or is this the real world? I mean, listen, Warren Sapp was a blankety blank to deal with as a player. Warren Sapp has not been the best human being after his playing career is over. I don't know if there's been 5 defensive tackles better than Warren Sapp. So, what is the Ring of Honor? Is it to honor the football player, especially in this sport, Mark? I mean, remember Lawrence Taylor, he's coming up for the Hall of Fame, and there were a lot of people that were like, come on, 2 times suspended for drugs, okay, not a good person off the field, and people didn't want to vote for him. And Paul Tagliabue, the night before the vote, publicly said, this is the NFL. We vote on what you do on the field. The other stuff doesn't mean anything.
There's no clause in the Hall of Fame. And to your point, David, I don't think it would. I don't think there's a way that taking Gruden out positively affects the franchise. Like, I don't think Bucs fan would, now I can go to games again because they took John Gruden out of the Ring of Honor.
I mean, I just looked around and I went, you got Dungy in here. You got Arians in here. I mean, they don't win that Super Bowl without Gruden. And all those guys who love Dungy have said, no, we needed John. We love Tony. We were not winning the Super Bowl with Tony. He was not changing his offense, and we had gone as far as we could go with that defense.
Let me ask you guys this one. Do you think they'll put Michael Vick in for the Falcons at any point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they haven't yet.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just saying, because it's been how many years since he left Atlanta?
Over 15.
Yeah, long time. And they haven't done it yet.
No, not yet.
But he has gotten back on the networks, and he's starting to clean up.
He's rehabilitated his image.
Yes, but they still haven't done it. I'm just curious.
Now, I will say, his career in Atlanta was not as long as you thought. I think it was more like 7 years. That's the other thing, Mark, when you look around the Bucs. I mean, they got a lot of guys in their Ring of Honor who were there, 4, 5, 6 years type deal. It's not a lot of 10, 13, 15 year, Anyway, I don't know. It just struck me Monday night looking around before the game. I'm like, I don't know. They should put Gruden back in. Yeah, he screwed up. But he's a coach, for goodness sakes.
And maybe coaching again in the league next year.
Right. Right.
How you like me now, Roger? Perfect place for him to coach, too, because they hate the league office.
Wouldn't it be great if the Saints and the Vikings play next year and before the game, Gruden and Flores could be talking to one another? Roy Cummings next.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
When choosing something of high value and personal significance, such as a diamond, you want to shop with the best, and the mall is not the place to be. Here are my friends, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District.
Take a stroll in the mall, pop into a few joy stores, and you'll soon discover you're in the wrong place. Rings begin to look all alike. You're not finding GIA certified diamonds. You quickly realize you know more than a salesperson helping you, and all the same financing gets pushed on you.
Visit Jason and me, and you'll find America's top bridal designers dealing exclusively with the Diamond District. You'll find the largest selection of GIA certified diamonds, all priced 8 to 10% over cost. You'll find educated sales consultants who have many years' experience and are not paid commissions.
And you'll find Todd and me in the store nearly every day, wanting to shake your hand and welcome you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. There it is. Hello, Roy. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Everything's perfect.
All right.
How are you this morning?
I'm good, my man. How are you?
Good. Good. 2 days without coaches getting fired. I'm stunned.
What's going on? Slow news days.
It's very upsetting.
It is. It's all right. We'll catch up. Got a couple more coming, I think.
One more for sure. I still think Sirianni's getting fired.
Oh, I don't see how he doesn't.
Well, supposedly the Eagles and Sirianni were calling around the league yesterday trying to figure out who their new coordinators are going to be.
Oh.
So we'll see if the Eagles are just going to scapegoat the
Wow.
coordinators.
Well, I guess that would be one way to go, but boy, oh boy, looking at that team, it's more than coordinators, I think.
So Monday night, I'm looking around, and we just talked about this. Do you think they should put Gruden back in the Ring of Honor? Or whatever it is they call it in Tampa? Because I was looking around, and it's just, I'm like, I think they overreacted. I think he should still be in it.
Well, yeah, I do too, because once you put him in there, I mean, you didn't put him in there for his political views or his,
or whether he was a quality human being, right?
Yeah, you didn't put him in there because of his social values. If that was the case, Warren Sapp wouldn't be in there either.
Thank you.
You put him in there because he won you a Super Bowl. And you're first.
We were all telling Sapp stories about dealing with him in the locker room Monday. Sitting there butt naked, okay?
Wow.
Some weeks with the towel and just spitting all the seeds and tobacco out at you. Sometimes he would drape a towel over him, still butt naked, obviously, and do the whole thing. And that was his way of creating a room.
Yeah, he had a good half hour, 45 minutes telling Sapp stories. I got about 1 billion. Some you would not believe. Some you would not believe.
I was kneeling because the TV cameras are surrounding and the reporters are trying to get them. So I'm as close as anybody could have gotten to Sapp, while not invading his towel spit space.
Yeah.
But I'm kneeling to not. Okay. And Sapp looks at me and my eye level's probably about a foot above his knees in his towel.
Yeah.
Okay. And he looks at me and he goes, "Now don't look any lower, son." I said, "We're good."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Has he changed his tune? Oh my God. Is he a different person now?
I always thought he should have be the analyst on Bucs games. I did.
He'd be interesting. He would tell it like it is. He still does that, but now the media is his best friend. Oh my God, he reaches out to everybody. Glad handing everyone. He goes through the press box.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And it's the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton along the network, and we begin it on a Thursday with Roy Cummings. Been covering the Bucs for a long time. Been talking about the Bucs with us for a long time. Follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. Listen, let's give it up to Roy Cummings, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, no. There was no one in North America who midway through the season was saying, I still think this team can win a playoff game. Jason Light wasn't saying it. Todd Bowles wasn't saying it. Roy Cummings was saying it. Congratulations, Mr. Glass Half Full.
Yeah, but I didn't say it last week either. Last week, I was the one saying that somehow, some way, the Eagles are going to figure this out, that is a pro group, and that they are going to realize that there's an opportunity ahead for them, and they're going to make mincemeat out of the Buccaneers. I think I predicted 28-17 Eagles. So I was as off the mark on that prediction as I was, I guess, on the mark with the prediction with finding the Bucs in the playoffs and actually possibly winning a game, which they did. Although they didn't play extremely well, they just happened to get that matchup against the Eagles, who are just guys. We're not an Eagles, radio station, but still, I have never seen a team collectively quit. And I saw the Bucs quit on Raheem Morris back in the day, but I have never seen a team collectively quit on a head coach and staff the way the Eagles did in that game Monday night. That was embarrassing. Embarrassing. I feel bad for everybody involved in that organization.
Have you ever seen a more pitiful tackling performance in all your years covering football?
No. And believe me, I've seen so many bad performances. No, it was just, there was no heart, no energy, no desire, no will, no nothing with the Eagles. You looked at their faces on the sidelines. Jalen Hurts, that's an image that I can't get out of my mind. Is just that lost look that he had. And again, it wasn't like the Bucs were beating him up going into the second half. If the Eagles had just committed to running the ball, I think they could have possibly gotten back in the game and maybe even won it. Probably not, but I mean, where was the game plan? You run for 200 yards the first time against these guys. I know they think we're going to run, so we're not going to run, so we'll run. Either way, it was a horrible game plan. It's hard to get outcoached by Todd Bowles. They got outcoached by Todd Bowles in a bad way. They were not prepared for the blitz. Did you see a hot receiver? I didn't. I know Jalen Hurts didn't. Against the blitz, I just don't get it.
And needless to say, Detroit will be a much tougher challenge than what the Eagles put up on Monday. But let's go with the positives. Baker, 3 TDs, no interceptions. I believe we had a guest on earlier in the week that said all the teams who advanced, none of their quarterbacks turned the ball over. That's probably the number one thing that has to happen again for Tampa Bay this weekend, right, Roy? That Baker's at the very least got to be mistake-free.
Yeah, football is a pretty simple game, and it usually boils down to the turnover battle. Who wins the turnover battle? If you hold on to the ball and don't make mistakes and take advantage of your opportunities, your scoring chances, you usually win. And it's true again. Look, a lot is being said now about Baker Mayfield. It's kind of funny, guys. It's kind of funny how all of a sudden team analysts around the nation, play-by-play announcers around the nation, sideline reporters around the nation are suddenly having to really bone up on the Buccaneers because nobody paid attention to this team until a week ago. Nobody paid any attention. That's why you're hearing so much about Baker Mayfield and very little about Kalijah Cansey or Vita Vea or Antoine Winfield and some of the other guys that have really played an exceptional role for the Buccaneers this year. Rashad White, Palmer. They don't know who this team is. They don't know anything about them. But you know what? You really only need to know one thing, Baker Mayfield. It's too late now, I guess, but isn't this guy deserving of some MVP award votes?
I don't know about MVP, but certainly most improved, comeback player of the year. I think that should be a slam dunk.
Okay, I agree. But, there was so much. It was going away, and he's probably going to win it anyway. I don't know when the votes go in. If they go in before the season ends, and Dak Prescott's going to win it. But look at it now. Baker Mayfield is the primary reason the Buccaneers made the playoffs and won a playoff game. He has completely turned around a career that was in the dumpster just 9 months ago. And now look at him. Without him, where are the Buccaneers, guys? Without him, where are the Bucs?
Well, if we go back, Jason Light targeted Baker. They took a look at their cap situation. They're like, we have no money to spend on a quarterback. Is there a guy out there that has a pulse that we can get on the cheap? And of all the guys, they targeted Baker. And Baker said yes. I remember, Roy, this was supposed to be a quarterback competition. They were alternating who was starting preseason games. Trask, there were people covering every day in practice. Trask is out playing Mayfield in late August.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this, guys. Inside the building, there was no quarterback controversy. It was going to be Baker Mayfield. But because of the season he was coming off of, because of his history, they couldn't just go out and say he's our guy because, well, why would you do that? Because he just hadn't proved that he was the guy anywhere. And they invested in Kyle Trask. And so it was only fair to publicly say that this is a quarterback competition. But they knew from the beginning that Baker Mayfield was their guy. The only way it wasn't going to work that way was if Baker Mayfield went out and just fell flat on his face and completely wasted his opportunity to turn his career around. But what Jason Light did was, he took a chance on Baker Mayfield thinking this is a guy who's extremely talented and who has one more opportunity to prove he fits in this league. And we're going to give him every opportunity to succeed at that. And they did, and he did, and good for him.
Roy, it'll be interesting this week against Detroit because Todd Bowles will blitz. We know that. Jared Goff's actually really good against the blitz. This isn't what happened against Philadelphia. Do you see any change in the defensive plan for the Bucs, or do you still see, hey, this is who we are? Why change what we are at this point?
Yeah, if I'm a Bucs fan, I'm nervous about that approach because it is. Look, Todd Bowles is a one-trick pony. It's the blitz. It's kind of in politics. It's the economy, idiot. With Todd Bowles, it's the blitz, idiot. That's what he does. He doesn't really do anything that's special to fool the defense. The best he does is he fools them with, putting 7 guys at the line and dropping 3 back, but you don't know which 3 are coming back. So, so he's going to bring it. And again, I'd be concerned. I was concerned about that against the Eagles because, again, I thought that they would be able to figure that out. But you know what? He outcoached Nick Sirianni. Let's see if he can outcoach another guy. I don't think he will. I think they'll let up on the blitz a little bit more and probably play a little bit more cover 2 and just be a little bit more sound in terms of tackling and things like that. But we'll see. You're going to have to bring the blitz at times. You want to pressure Jared Goff, but again, he's better at it than obviously Jalen Hurts was prepared for it. So we'll see. I think you let up on it a little bit, but still, it's going to be a weapon.
Can the Bucs run defense slow the Lions running game down? The Rams in the second half really slowed down the Lions running game, and it's why Detroit only scored 3 points and was barely got out of there with a W. To me, Roy, if Detroit can run it, the Bucs are cooked.
Yeah, I felt the same way about the Eagles. If the Eagles could run it, the Bucs were cooked, and I thought they would run it, and I think they would cook. I thought they would cook the Bucs that way. I think it's possible. Again, you listening to the broadcast, all this talk about the Bucs being such a great defensive, run team defensively. I haven't seen it. I mean, they have moments, but they also have a lot of moments where they give up these big chunk yards, and they give up the third downs. They stay on the field too long. I just think that they're quite vulnerable to the run, despite the fact that, the pieces in the defense are all there. Vita Vea up front, Kalijah Cansey up front, the linebackers, obviously. I think the guy, the secondary running downhill, Antoine Winfield. The pieces are all there to be very good against the run, and I know the numbers show it, but, just watching this team, I think they're vulnerable against the run, so I think they have to be careful. And again, best way to eliminate the blitz, run the ball.
The other side of this, though, is Detroit secondary has not been good all year. You've been able to get at Detroit by passing the football. You said it in the very beginning. You want to say it's the economy, it's the blitzing idiot. Well, it's Baker idiot. It really comes back down to this of how Baker Mayfield performs, because the opportunity should be there in the passing game for him.
Right. And I think it will be. And look, the Buccaneers leaned a lot more on their secondary receivers and not as much on Chris Godwin and Mike Evans last time around, which is a good sign because it shows that they can win that way. And, I still think that there's a few tricks in the bag from Dave Canales that he's going to bring out. I hope there are because, there's going to have to be. But, yeah, Baker Mayfield looked very good. And, he got stepped on with, once on the left foot. The right ankle looked solid. Whatever they did in the training room to fix that up worked. The ribs did not seem to be a problem. Of course, he didn't get touched very much. That's good, too. But it may not be as easy for him this time around. Probably going to be a little bit harder. But I still think that they're building back confidence again, guys. They've erased whatever negativity would have come from, the horrible game they played against Atlanta and then just the so-so game that they played against Carolina and, winning the division. That's kind of been erased because there's no reason not to feel good about this team going forward, even though they didn't get much pushback from the Eagles. So I think there's a lot of confidence.
Only have about 30 seconds. Can the Bucs block Hutchinson? Right side of that line got pushed around at times by Fletcher Cox and company. That right tackle against Hutchinson, I'm not liking that matchup for Tampa.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. I think Luke Gedecke's a little bit full of himself. I think he's a little cocky, and I think he gets schooled often. So I think it could happen again. I think he's going to need some help. I know they leaned a lot on the tight ends last week in the passing game. This time I think you got to keep them in. And you got to go to your bread and butter guys, which are Godwin and Evans. But I think you've got to leave somebody in the block because he's going to need help.
He's Roy Cummings. Follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at rcummingsfhcn, rcummingsfhcn. 5 seconds. Prediction.
You know what? I couldn't do it last. All right. Bucs 28-23.
Look at that. He just cannonballed into the deep end, Mark. cannonballed into the deep end. Roy Cummings
It's a
joining
team
us
of
once
destiny.
again.
A team of destiny.
Unbelievable. Miller and Moulton.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
20 years ago, Jason and I had the idea for a jewelry store like no other, with a vast selection of certified diamonds priced 8 to 12% over cost. A team of individuals who are educated, driven, and believe in cultivating relationships.
Today, we have become one of the largest independent jewelry stores in the country. Todd and I love what we do and are in the store nearly every day, along with our GIA gemologists, master jewelers, custom designers, and non-commissioned diamond consultants, all of which we consider family.
As direct diamond importers, we travel the world, forging relationships and sourcing diamonds. What we love most about our business is that we can call Southwest Florida our home.
If selection, value, and comfort are important to you, give the Diamond District an opportunity. You won't find a better diamond buying experience. Todd and I look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
At the Diamond District.
Get set for the thrill of a lifetime with Mud Wheelers Gone Wild at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. 3 full days of mud, trails, camping, and more. All for ATVs and side-by-sides only. Friday night is movie night. Ride up and relax. Compete for cash, prizes, and more. With events like our new ATV and side-by-side bounty obstacle challenge, side-by-side and barrel races, and scavenger hunt. Don't miss this family-friendly ATV and side-by-side only event at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. Visit redneckmudpark.com for discount tickets and details.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know, I know it was a while ago, and that's why you can't really talk about it. But when the Lions and Bucs played in week 6? They didn't have Gibbs or Montgomery. And they weren't able to run for basically anything because they didn't have either one of those guys. They had 30?
Well, Roy's been all year saying that the Bucs run numbers are fabricated, basically.
Yeah.
That style of game and just the way the teams have played against them, that he never believed that their run defense was as good as what the numbers showed.
And it goes back to week 3 when Philly ran for over 200 yards. And, Roy always had it in the back of his mind that you can line up and run on the Bucs, just people have decided not to. I was shocked Philly didn't try to run the ball. Ran the ball in the first. Ran the ball in the first 2 plays of the game and threw it 11 of the next 12 plays.
And I'm super interested to see how Tampa covers St. Brown. Because in the first meeting, he had 12 catches. No one else in the Lions had more than 4. It was Laporta. 12 receptions for 124 yards. I don't know. It's kind of a crapshoot as far as what the game plan is going to be for both teams, because in that first matchup, it's just...
Clark, I love that you're just here for the bonus hour, Clark, because no one's just here for the bonus hour.
Except you.
I know. It makes me happy.
The bonus hour gets a little testy sometimes.
Well, yeah, because we don't want to be doing it. We only want to be
from Chicago, Mongo. That's why he's a Cubs fan.
Yeah, he grew up there. That's why he's a Blackhawks fan.
Is he a Bears fan? Or has he been covering the Bucs
I think it's
so
just
long?
covering the Bucs so long that he's...
Yeah, he's a Bucs
And he's been in Tampa. I mean, did he cover the Lightning year one? His first beat in Tampa, I believe, was the Lightning. Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Somebody asked earlier in the Twitch chat room. I do like the Siakam trade for the Pacers a lot. Nobody wants to sign as a free agent in Indiana. So,
and I mean, just the little things I read on it is that, Toronto's kind of getting lambasted about dismantling this team and getting nothing for everything they've traded off. And they took a really good team and have just watched it blow up around them.
if they re-sign him, it is a great trade for the Pacers. Now, my only fear for Indiana, though, is kind of like with Cleveland, like when they traded for Donovan Mitchell. Okay, it's a good trade. But that only gets them to here. And they need to get to here. And now they have no way of doing it. It's kind of how I feel, Brett, about the Pacers. You know, I think Siakam can get them in the top 6. And maybe they can even win a first-round playoff series.
Well,
maybe.
I think the Celtics are in a class of their own. I really do.
And if the Bucs figure it out, they have.
Yeah, but
they'll be the
can
most
the Bucs
talented
play
team.
defense?
They might not have to. They might score 150. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Text the show at 21,000. We love it when you do. We love it when you tune us in on twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton, because we discuss things during the break, never make it to the air. Sometimes sports, oftentimes not sports, but behind the scenes access to the show, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. We'll talk the business of sports coming up in about 15 minutes. Not that, you know, there's any connection between money and big time sports. I mean, you know, I don't know what we're trying to insinuate there, but if there is, we'll delve into it in about 15 minutes.
And now I'm looking at the text line and I realize I had a question for Roy that I didn't see. It was way off the beaten path. You remember, Roy, for those that take our show in on Twitch, sits in front of a bookshelf. And David, a couple months ago, said, what's your current read? What's the best read? And someone liked Roy's suggestion so much that they want to get more book suggestions from Roy Cummings.
I'll text him for that texter. I'll text Roy right now and say, hey, we've got a listener who wants to know what you're reading there, big fella.
Because his last one was Undaunted Courage, and he said it was an excellent read.
Okay. So, you know, feel free to fill for about 3 seconds here.
There you go. Not a problem. That's
got to fire this text.
Quality stuff we get on 21,000. Wanting, because what Miller and Moulton say right now, not so much. But what's Roy telling us to read? That right there is the good stuff. And as David said, we'll get into the business of sport coming up here in a few moments. I saw a story, David, that this is just kind of feeding raw meat to the lions here, but a research study has been done that says that men are actually better with directions than women. That they actually had to do a study. And I don't know I don't know why this, now that we have, Google Maps and Waze, is this actually true?
You mean it's like producing change no one has to think for themselves and do it anymore. They just rely on the machine.
My generation is terrible with direction, myself included, because we don't ever have to read a map. I have no shame admitting that. I go to the mall, and I rarely go to the mall, and I have to look at the kiosk, and I can't figure out where I'm going, where I'm walking, because I've just never. It's like in our DNA now. It's sad.
So if I put a map in front of you,
yeah,
and just said, show me how to get, a city map of where we are in Southwest Florida. Can you show me on the map how to get from here to here? You'd have trouble just unfolding the map is what you're telling me.
I don't know what direction I live from the studio. I don't know any of that stuff.
So you don't know if you're going north, south, east, or west is what you're saying?
I know this much. I know that to get to my aunt and uncles in Cape Coral, I go north. That's about all I know. To get to my grandparents in Naples, I go south.
I really don't want to indict my wife because I am very fond of her, but I don't know if there is anyone worse with directions than my wife. And literally when she is driving without me, I have to write out the directions street by street. Okay. I cannot leave anything to chance. And then literally at the top of the directions, I give her the blue cards like I give Danielson. Okay. It's like we're working a game here. Right. And at the very top of the blue cards, like for instance, when we spent a long period where my wife was spending time in Jacksonville and we were still living in Southwest Florida. And so for the directions home, and I would just simply say, so where are you going? You're going to Southwest Florida. So when you get to a sign, if it says south or west, take it. You don't want to go north or east, because from where you are, if you go east, you're in the Atlantic. Okay, so we're going south and west, and that didn't help at all. I thought I was being helpful. She's like, "Oh, you're confusing me." Oh, okay.
What's great about this is, and why I'm really enjoying this story, and you should too, is that David has admitted that he is the most technologically challenged radio host perhaps in the country. But he is not the most technologically challenged person in his own household, because all of you were listening to that going, well, why doesn't she just go to Google Maps or Waze and just follow the directions? That's why. Because then we're adding another feature to this, having to look at a phone while driving, and that's not going to happen.
If we were standing in a desert and I said to my wife, what direction are we going? No chance she'd get it right. None. Here's the deal about men and directions. We are better at directions, but we don't ask for them. Okay. The women will ask for the directions.
Correct.
We won't. That's our fault. We're better at the directions, but we won't ask for them. So, we're splitting hairs here. Who's better at directions?
Right. Many an argument in the car. As a kid, I could see my mother and father. Dad does not know where he is, but he can get there, refusing to ask anybody. And my mother is just wanting to stop at a gas station and say, can't we just ask anybody how to get there?
Right. And Dad's like, absolutely not. That's not an option. I'm going to figure it out.
Like that you use the blue cards for your wife, though. That
I did. Yep. And here was the funny thing. She made so many trips from Fort Myers to Jacksonville a couple years ago. The cards stayed in her glove compartment. Okay. She would just bring out the cards and say, okay, I'm going home. All right. Give me the home cards. And she'd take them and say, okay, here we go. Hey, whatever you got to do. I really did want her to come home. So, okay, fine.
It obviously worked. She's still there.
Exactly.
May have taken a little longer on a trip or two, but she found her way north and east and then south and west.
So she was headed west on I-4 one time. This is when I really knew. We were pretty early in our tenure living in Florida, and we've only been married a handful of years. And she was coming back, I think, from Disney. And so obviously, you go 60 or so miles, you get to I-75 and you head south. For 20 miles, and we all know who've driven this road. For 20 miles, there's signs about I-75 north and south. All right. Yeah, my wife missed them. Calls me from like downtown Tampa. Okay. Hey, I'm lost. Oh, where are you? I'm in downtown Tampa. How the hell did you do that? I don't know. I didn't see the signs for I-75. Wait, you drove I-4 west, right? Yeah. You didn't see any signs for I-75? No, I missed them. So needless to say, I talked her home 275. She went over the bridge, which she hates. So I got a chuckle out of the fact that her, mistake is now causing her such, tension.
Yes.
She brought it on herself. So needless to say, the next time we counted all of the signs for the 20-mile stretch to let us know that about I-75.
Had to be over under 14 and a half.
Over. Right. So that's why I handle the directions. I handle the money. I handle the direction. I do the laundry. I handle the money. I do the directions. And I can explain the salary cap. Otherwise, I've got no redeeming value.
It's important to understand the salary cap, not only for the NFL, but inside your own house. Probably more important to understand it inside your own house. And it's good that you are the cap coordinator for both in the Moulton home. Miller and Moulton. 21,000's a text line. What's our book choice for Roy Cummings?
A People's Tragedy, The Russian Revolution.
Boy, that sounds like just a page turner right there.
And then he even sent cliff notes. It all started over bread. Citizens in the cities just couldn't get enough bread. Pretty amazing. It turned into the mushroom cloud that it did. We deliver on this show.
And we'll deliver the business of sport. That's next on Miller and Moulton. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Jason and Todd with the Diamond District are excited to invite you to their annual Winter Wedding Band Expo. Saturday, January 20th and Sunday the 21st, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District welcome many top wedding band designers to their 6,000 square foot diamond superstore, including M-Fit, My Caroline, Crown Ring, A. Jaffe, and more. You'll choose from the largest selection of wedding bands in Southwest Florida and receive 20% off designer retail prices. This is the best time of year to buy your wedding band with the lowest prices and largest selection from America's top bridal designers. Whether your wedding date has been set or you're still deciding, Saturday, January 20th and Sunday the 21st is the perfect time for you to head to the Diamond District and choose your wedding bands. Jason and Todd want to meet you personally and share with you the largest selection of wedding bands and offer you 20% off retail prices during their Winter Wedding Band Expo.
At the Diamond District.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Deadstruck, they're happy with the $110 million that they got from Peacock, but no, Dolphins Chiefs did. First off, if those numbers are right, 10 million easy, less than what it would have done. But the bigger number to take into consideration is that Steelers Bills did 31 million. And so is that enough for the NFL to put 2 games on Monday? We're all hoping no. But we're all fearful. Dak's not getting MVP. Lamar is. But
yeah, he was
just trying to make a point.
Why does Jerry love Dak so much?
Well, I will say, if you spend any time around Dak, he's very impressive. He's very much a leader. And Jerry asks a lot of the quarterback of the Cowboys off the field. And Dak delivers.
That's all good and fine. Like that's important. I get it. I just, after all, I don't know. It's not like it's a second or third flame out.
But who are you going to go get?
I don't know.
That's
good point.
That's
Kirk.
kind of been Miller and Moulton's philosophy is
Kirk Cousins.
They can't. Dak's entering the final year of his contract. They can't afford both.
What is Dak going to make? 40?
No, actually, he's on the way they worked his contract. His cap hit this year is like 57 coming up.
Okay. So so this will be. You think this will be his last year with the Cowboys?
No, I think they'll rework his contract to lower his cap hit significantly, and they'll extend him.
Is Dak Prescott worth a $60 million per year extension? Are you crazy?
Not based on his.
Now, remember, he's not. His cap hits 57. It's
no. This is on Get Up. Literally, the question on the board is: Dak Prescott worth a $60 million per year extension? No.
Like I am waiting. I really thought it was going to be the Giants last year. I was waiting for the team to just say, "No, this is the offer." And you know what? If you leave and somebody will give you what you want, good luck. Like the Dolphins with Tua, quite frankly. I mean, I know those that were not Tua people, but listen, Daniel Jones is making 40, okay? So figure out where the floor is for Tua. And the key is, can you just get him to accept a deal that maybe costs you 43?
We still got a minute, but Kirk is ready to go.
Awesome. Well, yeah, T. Haynes, and that's what they're wondering going forward. If the wild card weekend's going to fall on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, does that make them more likely to schedule a doubleheader Monday? Thing is, teams didn't know who they were going to play until the outcome of that game, and there's a lot of issues involved. It'll all come down to money, of course, but the networks won't want it. That's the other thing. I have a feeling that if they want to do doubleheaders on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, 4:30 has to be the streaming game.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until we are done along the network, the Florida Sports Network. The Diamond District bonus hour awaits for our loyal 239 audience. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Our poll question: who would you want to coach your NFL team in 2024, Belichick or Harbaugh? That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Vote accordingly. He covers the business of sports for Sportico. He's Kurt Badenhausen. You can follow him on Twix, Twitter/X at the letter K Badenhausen. K Badenhausen. Kurt, it's David and Mark. Thanks for agreeing to do this again. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I want to see how that coaches poll turns out.
Yeah, so do we. Harbaugh's winning with our audience for what it's worth.
Yeah, well, he's riding high right now, that's for sure.
All right. Obviously, we brought you on to talk about the business of sport. There's a lot going on. And first off, with the NFL and ESPN possibly putting a partnership, now the NBA getting involved, just trying to give us where we're at with this and how does this benefit ESPN?
Yeah, well, this puts ESPN closer to the most important sports media brand on the planet. The NFL is king right now, no question about it. 93 of the 100 most watched programs in 2023 were NFL games. So ESPN getting in bed long-term with the NFL has benefits on both sides. The NFL has been trying, and as part of this, ESPN would take over running NFL media. NFL media has been looking for a partner or someone to buy the business for a few years now. They thought they were going to get something done when they were doing the last round of media contracts that were worth over $110 billion. That never happened. They thought maybe they could get one of the streaming guys come in, Apple, Amazon, take control of NFL media, but it hasn't happened to this point. So NFL media includes NFL Network, NFL.com, Red Zone, and NFL Films.
Why would the NFL do this? Is it just they want to unload this stuff so badly? I mean, is there the profit potential down the road? I just found it. And apparently the NBA is kicking the tires on this deal. I just, a sports media company and a league making a business deal together to help prop up both. I mean, this is uncharted territory, wouldn't it?
It's so murky. It's so murky and so funky. And all the not those partners that are not ESPN have to be looking at this and thinking, wait, what about us? What kind of treatment are we going to get with this? The NFL obviously has broadcast deals with a lot of other properties besides ESPN. So it's super murky on both sides. ESPN has been looking for an investor. Bob Iger announced last year, basically they carved out ESPN from Disney. And the idea was that was going to make it, more of a standalone business and allow for an individual investment. Hearst already owns a piece of ESPN going back to basically the launch of the business. And so the idea of bringing on a new partner, because we're in a world that's transitioning from linear TV to streaming, and that the streaming services with ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, they're causing massive losses. Disney's under pressure on the stock price, and so the idea is bringing in a partner like the NFL would help navigate some of those losses.
On the streaming side as well, the other big story is that Amazon, in their partial bailout of Diamond's bankruptcy, puts them in a different world of the streaming business. And it doesn't seem that Major League Baseball is all that enthused because they wanted a partner of their own. Is this kind of a way that Amazon backdoors their way into 5 streaming brands?
Well, this is even murkier. I mean, we've been talking about the Diamond bankruptcy for a year now, and it was telegraphed well before they put themselves in bankruptcy early in 2023. This is still in court. The idea is Amazon is going to make a $115 million minority investment to help prop up Diamond Sports Group. This is a proposal, like all things in bankruptcy court, that it needs to be approved, and the various parties that are invested in here. You brought up Major League Baseball, which has been pushing back on most of Diamond's plans right now, because they have by far the most contentious relationship of any of the sports leagues with Diamond. They're right now they're reviewing this idea of Amazon making a minority investment. But again, nothing has been settled, and really all the parties involved have to sign off on this. And this deal, the NBA and NHL have reached deals to continue to broadcast those games through 23-24. Now, this deal would supersede that because those rights were supposed to revert back to the teams in the league after this season. So this deal might create a situation where those contracts do not expire. But it's wild with MLB because they have the most vested in this relationship because they broadcast 161 or 162 games, and they receive the biggest paychecks from the RSN. So Diamond has a handful of relationships that it wants to continue, and then it has 3 in particular that it is trying to get out of those deals, or at least cut back on those deals with clubs like the Texas Rangers, Cleveland Guardians, Minnesota Twins.
And it's fascinating, though, a bankruptcy judge doesn't really care what Major League Baseball thinks, right? Isn't it simply a matter of you take a look at the books? Does this make sense? I mean, if Amazon's floating 115 million, somebody else is throwing in $500 million. I mean, it's just a matter of, yeah, if this keeps them solvent, okay, I approve this, right? Doesn't matter if Major League Baseball is jumping up and down going, wait a minute, no, give it to us. We want to do our whole streaming together. We'll make more money. That's the bankruptcy judge doesn't care about that.
100% of that. As sports fans, we get so invested in these situations, and people, at the end of the day, sports fans just want to watch their games, and they don't want it to be hard. And there's so much passion involved. But to your point, this is a business. This is sitting in bankruptcy right now. This is a legal and business decision that is being made. The passion of the fans is stripped out of this, and Major League Baseball can jump up and down all they want. The bankruptcy judge is taking the approach that they're looking at the creditors who loaned all of this money when this deal went down, when Sinclair bought all the RSNs and loaded up the company with all this debt that led to the bankruptcy. They have to look out for the creditors as well, who already have taken a bath, and they don't necessarily want to lose 100% of their investment. They're already going to lose the overwhelming majority. But they have to think in terms of keeping this company solvent, so that creditors will get paid.
I just think it's mind-blowing that 115 million makes you a minority partner. That's
for a business that sold for $10 billion not that long ago. It's pretty wild that we're talking about $115 million potentially being the difference in keeping this an ongoing concern. So they're listen. The only thing Diamond Sports has going for it is these rights deals. Obviously doesn't want to get her out of all these, or else the business it just goes out of business. What Diamond Sports is trying to do is hold on to the deals that are profitable for it. Seems like the Atlanta Braves, their RSN makes a ton of money for Diamond Sports. Get out of the unprofitable deals, but also most importantly is to prepare itself going forward is to secure the streaming rights. For teams, they only have streaming rights for a handful of teams in Major League Baseball, and really what they're looking for is to secure the rest of them. Major League Baseball is pushing back and be like, why are we going to give this group more rights when it's proved to be a disaster over the last few years in terms of how they've operated the business? So Major League Baseball is not looking to relinquish more rights when it comes to Diamond Sports.
Finally, Kurt, $23 million reportedly for the Chiefs-Dolphins streaming game on Peacock. A, gut feeling, do you believe the numbers? But also a B, is that enough if you're the NFL? because you cost yourself, let's just conservatively say 20%. It could have maybe been 30% of your audience. Is 110 million worth losing 20 to 30% of your audience for a night?
I think for one game, sure. If you're talking about one game across the whole full playoff slate, the NFL is prepping for a future world where streaming is going to be a bigger part of it. So to your point, yeah, they probably left 10 million fans on the sidelines. But for the NFL, was that game going to generate more than $110 million for the league and the 32 teams if it was folded in to the existing rights agreement? $110 million is a lot of money for one game. So I think the NFL did the calculus, and I think 23 million, and if you believe the number, that's a gigantic number for a streaming service. So I think that it's only going to embolden the NFL that it makes sense to carve out some games. So we could see 2 games, in future years. But the NFL is such a unique example because there's very few sporting events or sports properties that are must-see TV like an NFL game. And the fact that Peacock, which is not Amazon Prime, does not have hundreds of millions of subscribers. It's in the low tens of millions of subscribers. The fact that they could get 23 million, which means a lot of people signed up just to watch this game. And are they going to cancel next month? Maybe, but some will stick around. I think it only telegraphs a situation where we have more of these games going forward. Again, the NFL wants to reach as big an audience as they can and to have the vast majority of their playoff games over the air, free TV. They will continue to do that in the near future. But cherry picking one game, 2 games for the playoffs, and is continuing to do it in the regular season with one-offs here and there, I think we're only going to see more of it.
Kurt Badenhausen, he covers the business of sports for Sportico. You can follow him on Twitter/X at the letter K Badenhausen, K Badenhausen. Kurt, thanks so much for rescheduling and doing this for us. We appreciate it. Safe travel. Stay warm.
Thank you. You too.
Kurt Badenhausen of Sportico, the business of sports. Lots gone on in the last week.
There has, and I appreciate him telling us to stay warm. I've got socks and shoes on again today. Or pull over into work. I appreciate you, Kurt.
You really
looking out for us.
Had to suck it up today, huh? It's low 40s here in the north part of the state.
Don't know how you do it. Just don't know. Struggle's real, David.
Well, over the weekend, apparently the high is going to be about 45, the lows in the high 20s.
I'm playing in a golf tournament on Saturday morning. I have an 8:50 tee time. The lows Saturdays are like 45. I'm going to look like the Michelin Man when I hit the first.
Oh, man. Please have your daughter's words in your head when she mocked you for going back in the car and sitting in the heat while watching practice the other day.
Soft as baby do, David.
No shame about it either.
None.
No. Listen, I lived there when I was young. I moved here 25 years ago. I am Mark Miller. I am middle name Sharman.
Right. Hear me roar.
That's how soft I am.
Playing Helen Reddy.
So Harbaugh still winning our poll? Who do you want to coach
poll
your
results
team next
right
year?
now? It is still 75% of the vote. Who do you want to coach your NFL team in 2024? Jim Harbaugh getting 75% of the vote. Bill Belichick getting 25% of the vote.
Here you go. What have you done for me lately? Greatest coach of all time. Whatever. Please. So there you go. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com.
You voted Harbaugh. I voted Belichick.
Yep. And I'm a Belichick guy, but offensively right now, I'm a little concerned about him and what he's doing.
along the network. We thank you for listening. In the 239, the Diamond District Bonus Hour. That comes at you next on Miller and Moulton.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Jason and Todd with the Diamond District are excited to invite you to their annual Winter Wedding Band Expo. Saturday, January 20th and Sunday the 21st, Jason and Todd with the Diamond District welcome many top wedding band designers to their 6,000 square foot diamond superstore, including M-Fit, My Caroline, Crown Ring, A. Jaffe, and more. You'll choose from the largest selection of wedding bands in Southwest Florida and receive 20% off designer retail prices. This is the best time of year to buy your wedding band with the lowest prices and largest selection from America's top bridal designers. Whether your wedding date has been set or you're still deciding, Saturday, January 20th and Sunday the 21st is the perfect time for you to head to the Diamond District and choose your wedding bands. Jason and Todd want to meet you personally and share with you the largest selection of wedding bands and offer you 20% off retail prices during their Winter Wedding Band Expo.
At the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Adam, what are you Northern? Is that your brand? I don't want to get into a toilet paper war with you, bud. But they don't sell your brand at Costco. And that's where I buy my TP.
That's where all the smart people buy it. Because that's the type of thing you need to buy in wholesale because you save a lot of money.
You do. I love Costco.
It's great. I went yesterday and got a ton of groceries.
Ramen?
I've upgraded. I got the little single macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
The little craft things. And frozen taquitos and frozen pizza. That's pretty much what I live on.
Frozen pizza is a good thing to live on.
I think it's delicious.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
It's in the ballpark.
I do the Kirkland brand, Adam. I would, but the wife says no. Had the Costco lamb loin chops last night for dinner. They were fantastic. And it's funny, okay, music. I'm not arguing with your Tombstone thing. I'm the guy that just likes the Tostitos frozen cheese pizza. I don't need anything more. Hit it hard with crushed red pepper, call it a day.
When you're drunk at 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah, EB.
Not much better than a Tombstone
Lamb chops,
sausage
lamb loin
pizza.
chops, lamb, leg of lamb, do it all at Costco. Yes, sir.
Everything, Adam's gotten smaller.
Did you see the size of that chicken?
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour on this Thursday as we are headed for home in the middle of the month. Hope your week is going well for some of you. You had Monday off, so you're just kind of getting going in the week and you're like, oh, wow, it's almost ending. For others, it was a normal work week, so you're like, oof, can't wait to get to tomorrow.
I'm ready for the schools to have a normal week.
Does that happen anymore in Florida?
Not in Lee County. Next week should be a full week, as far as I know. It'll be the first week that my daughter's had a full week of school since we've been back from Christmas break. She had the 8th off. She had the 15th off. So I think we're good for a while, but they might want to throw in an early spring break and just, keep us guessing, David.
Well, and we're going to have a President's Day coming up here in about a month. So that'll be a Monday, right?
Probably.
We should probably think about taking that off this year. We've worked a lot here lately. Just a thought. We can ponder that. Make Trent earn his $7 a show and, edit a best of, for a month from now. So,
I like where your head's at with that.
Yeah, just a thought. I don't want the pressure mark the day after Daytona, of having to do a show. Me in Daytona. It's like you in Daytona. It's just, especially since we're going, that allows us to drive back. Oh, no, wait, we're not. Okay.
Maybe you should. You're close enough. That's just a day trip for you.
I know. I've never been to the 500 either. Well, they sold the sucker out so early. It's about as earliest as they've ever sold the damn thing out.
What's your bucket list item in sports anymore? I mean, you've been to just about everything. You've been to the Masters. You've worked a Super Bowl, for crying out loud. All these college games. Do you have a bucket list sporting item left?
Worked the Masters even. The Kentucky Derby and the Indy 500. I would like to check off the month of May. I really would.
And
I
the
would like to
Derby's
do
number one on my list.
That's it for me. I really do want to get to a Daytona 500. And it's, I mean, obviously I've spent a quarter century in Florida. To not get to the Daytona 500 and be a sports fan, it would be just, I'm still kicking myself all those years I lived in Southwest Florida. I never went to Key West.
Yeah, I don't know how you managed to pull that off.
I know that's absurd. It's such a failure. I made a point when I was living in Fargo, even though, believe me, it wasn't close. Okay. But I'm like, yeah, I got to get to Mount Rushmore. When am I ever going to live out in this region again? And, I mean, it's the southwest corner of South Dakota. I mean, it's not like it's a 2-hour leisurely drive from Fargo. It's not. I mean, it's a healthy drive, but yeah, I made sure that I'm like, I don't know how long I'm going to be out here, but I got to do this. So I got to get the 500 done, but somehow, some way, you and I would love for us, what we've always talked about getting, which was getting, one of those tour buses, something, and spending, some time out on the road where we would do our shows from the bus and what have you, but then also we could go to the events.
Keep that dream alive, David. You're looking for a bus. I'm looking for 2 more sponsors for this show. I mean, I'm just praying that the phone rings at some point, or I get a text saying, "Hey, I want to sponsor your show." That's what I'm looking for. I need another Molly Maid. I need another Diamond District. I need another Michael F. Hornon. I need 2 of those like nobody's business. That's all I'm rooting for. And you want a bus traveling the country doing shows.
Just for May. I just want to do the Derby, and maybe we can even, just hang around. We can do the Preakness on our way to Indy. That's all. That's all. Just the month of May. We could take in some baseball, little NHL, NBA playoffs. So that's all.
That sounds awesome. I know where we can get the bus. David Sampson's got the bus.
Well, that's true.
He'll give us a deal on the bus.
We can rent it for a month.
Right.
I know we can get a bus too. We know people.
We're doing the Miller and Moulton World Tour, or
just the U.S. tour. I mean, getting the bus to Europe would be tough.
Right.
So funny. I worked in the old IHL, the International Hockey League, and Gino Briaco was our head coach. Great guy, funny man. And the I, years ago, all of a sudden talk of European expansion. The I was expanding all over the place and was trying to be a WHA type of hockey league. And they're talking about expanding to Europe. And we still had Kalamazoo in the league, who was our Green Bay, if you will, the cheaper team, small market, as the IHL was growing into bigger and better markets. And Ubi just looked up at the general manager and said, "How's Kalamazoo going to be able to bus to London?"
Oops.
So we'll stick with the U.S. tour on the bus. Hello, Cleveland.
Hello. So, we got coming up later this month, we got the Baseball Hall of Fame. They'll announce who, in fact, is going in, but also Pro Football Hall of Fame. The normal time in which they announce the next class of who's going in. Who's getting talked about a lot more? Fred Taylor. Got a lot of former players. Got a lot of former players who are in the Hall of Fame from Fred's era who are like, yeah, Fred Taylor's a Hall of Famer. Remember, this is the first time he's ever made it to finalist. First time he ever made it from 25 to 15. But, former Gators standout, very good player in Jacksonville. It certainly hurt him. He played in Jacksonville, especially a quarter century ago. The Jags, even though they had that quick explosion onto the scene and made a couple AFC championship games, they did not get a lot of national television before the playoffs.
And by not a lot, they didn't get any.
Right.
They got a Thursday night game on the NFL Network.
Oh, that was even That was even
I know, but
exactly. Exactly. I mean, Dick Enberg had to reintroduce the nation. Okay. Yeah, it's been a year. The Jags are back in the playoffs. In case you've forgotten, their quarterback is Mark Brunell. He's left-handed. Right. And they went through it. McCardell and Smiths at wide receiver. Maybe the best tandem in the league. They get no attention whatsoever. I mean, they really were very good on offense. So anyway,
I think it's the hardest list, and we don't get into lists a lot on this show, David, but I don't think there's a harder list to break down than the finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame list to try to get to 5 actual inductees. Because every year we go through it, and you and I, of the 15 finalists, we're pretty sure 13 of them are Hall of Famers.
Yep. Meanwhile, in baseball, we think they're adding guys to their ballot to try to get closer because they can vote for up to 10. And there doesn't seem to be a really strong case for more than like 6 or 7. That's if you've excluded those with ties to PEDs.
And they clearly have. If you're tied to PEDs, you're not getting in.
Last year, I believe, for Sheffield on the ballot. And, he's got the magic numbers. And he only acknowledged using the cream. No one's ever tied him to anything else. I mean, is that enough PED use, Mark, quite frankly?
Yes. To them. Not to me. You know that. But
right.
To them, the cream might as well have been injecting heroin, David.
Well, actually, Mark, if all he did was inject heroin, he'd already be in.
But the dadgum good point.
But so that's out there in the coming days, certainly before the month is up, about the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but also the Baseball Hall of Fame. Would be nice. We could sign a few more baseball free agents. If you were running that sport, would you actually, do kind of what the NBA and the NFL, create an urgency period where, hey, we got to do deals? Because the sport has gotten outside of 2 days of Ohtani, it looked like Toronto and then he ended up in LA. Okay. I mean, honestly, the sport has gotten nothing for 2.5, almost 3 months. Nothing.
Where would you put the window if you put one in?
I would.
I mean, where's the period you're trying to own?
Now. Actually, I don't know if I'd let anything happen until now. I might rearrange how we do things and teams can take care of things in November and December. And I might actually set it up where now is go time. And it's an absolute feeding frenzy. Think about the NBA. The NBA sets it up. It's all the first week of July. It's 1 week. It's not even. It's 3 to 5 days. And they set it up, and that's it. I think I would do the same thing. Maybe it would be next week, actually, once we're down to 4. I don't think I can go to the very end of the month. Spring training starts 2+ weeks later. But I would do it now. Get through college football, get through the playoff, get through the coaching carousel at the end and the NFL playoff start, and get through wild card weekend. I'd probably do it next week.
And you think that's enough time before spring training to get everything done that's necessary?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm curious to try to create that window. It's when you're going to do it to maximize the opportunities in the media.
Now, I would just do it for the major league roster. This is getting a little too gooberish here. Like, I'd let teams sign guys to, minor league contracts with the invites to spring training. You could do that beginning in mid-November for all.
But the free agency period would be, January 15th, January 20th.
To the end of the month. I honestly think I would do it beginning next Tuesday. So what would that be? The 23rd? Okay. No, I actually do it Monday. Monday, the 22nd to January 31st. There we go. 10 days. This is when we all get it done. Let's make it happen time. Let's go.
They definitely need it because even in, the markets that love to talk baseball have nothing to talk about because nothing's getting done.
No.
We had Ohtani. We had the pitcher. They both signed with the Dodgers. That's been it.
Right. And for goodness sakes, the guy who won the Cy Young in the National League still hasn't been signed. What the hell? Miller and Moulton.
Get set for the thrill of a lifetime with Mud Wheelers Gone Wild at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. 3 full days of mud, trails, camping, and more. All for ATVs and side-by-sides only. Friday night is movie night. Ride up and relax. Compete for cash, prizes, and more. With events like our new ATV and side-by-side bounty obstacle challenge, side-by-side and barrel races, and scavenger hunt. Don't miss this family-friendly ATV and side-by-side only event at Redneck Mud Park, January 19th through 21st. Visit redneckmudpark.com for discount tickets and details.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. Why Molly Maid, you ask? Trust. Moulton was a customer for 15 years. Affordability. Didn't I just say Moulton was a customer for 15 years? Worry-free services. Our professional house cleaners are fully insured and a 24-hour warranty. Call Molly Maids today at 239-774-5839. That's 239-774-5839 or online at mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. That's mollymaid.com/FTMYERS. We're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Who's getting in the baseball hall?
The thought is that Billy Wagner and Todd Helton are getting in.
Okay. And that's it, right?
No. No, I thought there was one other. Remember, we got Joe Mauer. We got Adrian Beltre. Chase Utley's getting a lot of support, but I don't think he gets
I saw
in.
David Wright was getting a lot of support as well.
Yeah. I think that's just people wanting to keep him on the ballot. Helton got 72% last year. Wagner 68%.
I don't think Joe Mauer's a Hall of Famer.
I don't either.
No.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm just I guess I'm probably just biased because I grew up watching him pitch against my team all the time. But not pitch, play.
Yeah, but he didn't. If he'd have played catcher the whole time, for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Sonny Jeter's already in. In fact, one person didn't vote for Jeter. We don't know who. We all thought Jeter was going to be the first unanimous one. It ended up being Mariano Rivera.
That's the thing about the Baseball Hall of Fame that just pisses me off. Why do people need to do that? Just for attention?
Well, I will say the person was never disclosed. We don't know who the person was.
I know, but
it's not like the year Shaq didn't win MVP unanimously. One person voted for Iverson. Fred Hickman, the late Fred Hickman of CNN, was that vote.
Or the time LeBron should have won it unanimously for the Heat, and there was one vote for Carmelo. I love Melo, but give me a break. Like, what are we doing here? Derek Jeter's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Who in
Well,
their
it wasn't right. I mean, what's he, 6th in hits all time?
Yeah, how about just I don't know, a 5 World Series, 14 All-Stars, an MVP.
Actually, Spitz, I don't know if Bill Conlon kept his Hall of Fame vote, because Bill Conlon got in trouble with molesting children, and I don't know if he still has a ballot. He may, but
Well, if that's the case, he shouldn't.
Tough to get rid of that vote. That's a stronger group than that baseball writers union is about as strong of a group as there is out there.
I defend baseball on a lot of things because I love baseball and baseball fans love baseball, and that just is what it is. The Hall of Fame to me is such a elitist group of knuckleheads. I can't stand it.
well, I think it should be more than the baseball writers.
Me too. Yes, 100%.
I think it's absurd Vin Scully never had a Hall of Fame vote. I think Vin Scully could tell you who's a Hall of Famer and who's not.
That's a great point.
So I do think some of the broadcasters deserve votes. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a broadcaster, but I just think they see so much baseball. I don't think Sheffield gets in, and it's his last year on the ballot. He was at 55% last year.
Oh, go Raiders. If that was the poll question, baseball should win by a mile. But it would be interesting to see the results.
Plus also Spitz, it was the next year that or the year before that Mariano was in unanimously. So,
Here we go.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when, along with some final thoughts. Coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time. So the Cowboys are keeping Mike McCarthy. He signed a 5-year contract 4 years ago. First year didn't go that well. Last 3 years, 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins. First round playoff exit. Wild card win over Brady and the Bucs. Then got eliminated by the Niners. And then we all know what happened to him last weekend at home. So 1-3 in the playoffs. 4 years in. Do you bring him back if it was you? It inspired our poll question of the day. If you had a choice, who would coach your team this year, Belichick or Harbaugh?
And if I were the Cowboys, I would have, and maybe Jerry and Bill couldn't work together. Maybe he made the phone call. And maybe Bill said, I don't want to work for you. But I couldn't be in Jerry Jones' shoes and not have at least made that phone call. And, we may never know if that phone call was made. That very simple private call, no, I don't want to come work. I'm not going to coach the Dallas Cowboys. But I don't think that's the case. I would have let McCarthy go, and I would have brought in Bill Belichick.
Word is the Eagles yesterday were not moving towards getting rid of Nick Sirianni. In fact, word yesterday was the Eagles and Nick Sirianni were calling around the league trying to find new coordinators. He nailed his first ones. They were there 2 years, helped take him to the Super Bowl. Both got head coaching jobs. Both got good reviews this year. The one in Arizona and the one in Indianapolis. I mean, even though Arizona only won 4 games, most of us felt they had the worst roster in the league, and they played hard all 17 times. And we know what Steichen did in Indy. So can Nick Sirianni survive this? Can he get a list of coordinators together that will appease Eagles management so that they go, yeah, okay, we'll keep you? Or does he strike out on the coordinator front and Eagles management goes, yeah, I guess nobody wants to come and work for you, Nick. Sorry.
One brotherly shove fails and he can't get a coordinator.
So it was interesting yesterday. The Eagles locker room seemed to defend Sirianni. There was not a player who even hinted that Nick is the problem.
And going back to a week ago, A.J. Brown even defended him, and that kind of seemed like he was the one that was, he was the one who was, his feathers were ruffled the most. So for him to say it spoke volumes.
But what to me was interesting yesterday, Mark, is that now, granted, not every Eagle was interviewed and not every Eagle spoke up. In fact, the minority of players were interviewed and spoke up. But based on how the key veterans on the team responded when asked yesterday, it then makes you wonder, well, then why didn't you guys play the way you did the last month and a half of the year?
Right. So he's a leader, but he can't form a game plan. He's a leader, but he hired the wrong coordinators.
He's a leader and a winner, but you guys laid down for him. Why? So that's an interesting postmortem. I mean, are guys just saying the right thing?
I think that's what it is, David. I actually think, first off, not many players come out and call for a coach to be fired. When they do so under anonymous sources.
Unless they're a diva wide receiver.
That's it.
And that's why I love them so.
Yeah, well, and you do.
I do.
And they aren't the only position usually that will say something along those lines. But guys want to get re-signed. Guys are looking for the next deal. They're not going to come out and be coach killers. That doesn't help your career longevity. So I just believe they're saying the right things. And I think at some point today, you're going to hear a couple of anonymous sources come out questioning Sirianni.
Jason Kelsey was asked, and he said, well, this is how it usually goes. He goes, guys talk to their position coaches. And, every now and then, we're asked by the general manager a question, but not very often. Usually position coach and maybe the head coach, and that's about as far as it goes. So, it's not like we're walking up the stairs to the third floor and saying, hey, got a minute? That's not how it works. Speaking of Kelsey, did you see what he did yesterday? So apparently he is a McDonald's breakfast guy. And he's a sausage McMuffin guy.
No egg?
I believe no egg.
That's my favorite there.
I'm
sausage
with you.
McMuffin, no egg.
Well, you got to
if I were to get a McDonald's breakfast sandwich, that's what I'd go with.
You got to throw a slice of cheese on it for me. I'm sorry.
Well, they do.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, sometimes you can get it without, you just said sausage and egg McMuffin. I'm like, no.
If you order a sausage McMuffin, there's cheese on it.
There's cheese on it. I mean, come on, it's McDonald's. They don't do special orders. We're not a Burger King here.
Well,
you get it the way they serve it.
Dadgum, good point. So he's a sausage McMuffin guy. And he brought and apparently there's a lady at the counter, at the register, because she does the drive-through. And Mark, it's kind of like those years we went to the Wendy's.
Oh, she was such a good lady.
41 and Corkscrew there, right near the corner. And it's half a mile from the radio station of which you two sit. Right. And we would, she was terrific. Well, Kelsey, don't know when he's going to stop in the McDonald's again. So he brought her a signed Kelsey jersey.
That's cool.
Gave it to her. and she posed in front of the window with him sitting in his truck, okay, with a big smile on his bearded face. She held up his jersey, and you could see the autograph and what have you. And somebody took a picture, and they posted it.
That's cool.
Yeah. He's just, he's a cool guy.
One of the more popular offensive linemen ever.
In fact, in the last 30 years, is there an offensive lineman who is going to have the media career that it looks like Jason Kelsey's going to have?
I think Joe Thomas could have if he wanted it.
I was just going to say, he's the only one that comes to mind off the top of your head.
But, Mark, you're right. He didn't really want it. He sticks with NFL Network, and, he doesn't want to, for whatever reason, be on the other ones. I think CBS would have taken him. But, if you really think about it, and offensive linemen don't get jobs in the booth either. Dan Dierdorf, one of the few.
Saturday's been on for a while.
Yeah, but he's a studio guy. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Former coach, too.
Yes, he was.
Was he ever?
Yes, he was. So,
By the way, I said I would have fired McCarthy. Would you have fired McCarthy?
Yes, absolutely. And it would have been unfair. And I would have told them, I go, listen, I'm not blaming Sunday on you, but can't bring you back, obviously. And trust me, we're not going to bring back a third of this team. But then again, I look at the team differently than Jerry. Jerry loves that team, thinks that they're a Super Bowl team. We all see the flaws that Jerry doesn't see.
We all see the team different than Jerry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And McCarthy. He obviously sees it the same way, and they'll pair up for another year. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when and what's on tap. It's how we finish things on Miller and Moulton.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hey, y'all, it's Ben Allen. When it comes to singing and performing live shows, I'm in my comfort zone. When it comes to wanting to surprise my wife with diamonds, I'm a bit lost. That's why I go see my friends Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. Jason and Todd helped me blow my wife away when we got engaged, and I've been applauding them ever since. If you're in the market for diamonds this holiday season, Southwest Florida has been giving Jason and Todd a standing ovation for over 20 years. Go see them and let Jason and Todd know that Ben Allen sent you.
Thanks, Ben. We're proud of you and your accomplishments and thrilled that you are part of our Diamond District family.
This holiday season, visit Jason and me at the Diamond District. We look forward to shaking your hand and welcoming you to our Diamond District family.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. The sound level reached 133 decibels at Ford Field.
Fourth loudest ever. I'll tell you, it was awesome. Pains me I'm not going back. My dad's going this week.
He's going? Good.
He's going with my older brother.
The two of them are going, then you're selling your...
And I'm selling my two, yeah.
Have you sold them yet?
Haven't checked, actually. Last I checked.
Do you
was
sell
last
them on
night.
Ticketmaster or StubHub? Or somewhere else?
Ticketmaster, because it goes through the Lions. So
Right.
Yeah. So, David, if you use the blue cards for Gary, do you use a different? Does Troy have a different system?
I just talked to Troy.
Okay.
I used to write it. We did a year and a half together where I wrote stuff down on cards, and he was the one that said, "How about if you just talk to me?" Now
Your
I had
headset, obviously.
Now I had to figure out, because he's got a lot of voices in his head, and mine is last on the priority list. So if someone starts talking, if the truck starts talking to him, I get cut off. If Joe turns and is talking to him, I can't talk to him. I can't distract him. I mean, I have to. So I hear his IFB. I get what he gets. So then I know where my spots are.
Gotcha.
He's got a lot going in his head during a game.
I don't know what it's like to land planes, but I've always thought that doing live sports is like air traffic control.
I'll have to ask. I know a couple air traffic controllers. I play golf with former air traffic controller. No, it's just a retired air traffic controller that I play golf with all the time.
I'm just laughing because it seems like you play golf with a lot of.
Well, they're all I mean, one
all,
guy's in old candy stores all over the country. I mean, it's some great characters. They're all retired and they all have stories, and they've all done pretty well for themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Trent, we know a lot of successful people. We're just not two of them. I think Reich could work with Sirianni, but otherwise, no.
Yeah, who's on the market for OCs?
Well,
I mean, are they just gonna have to promote from within? Are they gonna have to? I mean, Cleveland's got a lot of guys available all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't either.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I would love to find out, is that ownership
Here we go.
enforced? That makes no sense.
Welcome to the bonus hour, brought to you by Jason and Todd at the Diamond District. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Pat Kerwin will join us tomorrow, and we'll make our picks on a Football Friday. Another reason to watch us on Twitch. Mark was chair dancing there. He doesn't normally chair dance, but for whatever reason, it inspired him. And
I love the music for the last segment. It first hit me when Felipe put it in. I hated it because it's very club-esque.
Right.
It's not something that I would ever listen to, but I think it fits the bonus hour. I think it fits this last segment.
So, it was us closing the Clevelander back in the day at the Super Bowl.
There you go.
About 3:40 in the morning. Last call. Miller and Moulton still out on the dance floor. Getting low.
Now that's when I'm waking up. Man, how times have changed.
Just a bit.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start in 1896. It was the first ever college basketball game played 5-on-5. It was the University of Iowa and the University of Chicago. Chicago won a barn burner, 15-12. Bentley Motors founded today in 1919. One of David's favorite stories happened today in 1950. After going 15-14, Bob Feller takes a pay cut. He was making $65,000. He took a $20,000 pay cut to $45,000. It was Bob Feller's idea.
There are not many people that I have been more awestruck and intimidated around than Bob Feller.
Willie O'Ree makes his debut with the Bruins today, the first African-American to play in the NHL in 1958. Today in 63, Al Davis becomes head coach and general manager of the Oakland Raiders. The Beatles made their debut on the U.S. pop charts today in 1964 when I Want to Hold Your Hand reached the charts at number 45. The Jeffersons premiered on CBS today in 1975. Super Bowl X was today in 76 at the OB. Pittsburgh, 21-17 over Dallas. Lynn Swann, your MVP. So that game's one of my first memories of football.
Super Bowl X?
Yeah.
That was, the year before, Bradshaw just handed the ball off to Franco, and the Steelers defense, they pitched a shutout. The only points the Vikings scored was a block punt for a score. But that was Bradshaw's big breakout game, and Swan with those two amazing catches.
Pink Floyd's The Wall reaches number 1 today in 1980.
A monster.
I thought you were talking about the Clippers season tickets.
Well played. Don't know who Pink Floyd was rooting for in that game. Jim Thorpe had his medals restored 70 years after he won them. They were taken away because he made $25 playing semi-pro baseball. And in 1983, they rightfully restored his medals, albeit a bit too late.
Yeah, you think? When are we going to put Shoeless Joe Jackson in the Hall of Fame? Seriously.
I don't know.
Come on now. There's no evidence at all that he was involved in throwing that World Series. He was the leading hitter of the World Series. He hit the only home run in the World Series. He was functionally illiterate. He signed an X at the bottom of a paper, not even his name.
1996, interleague play was approved for the 97 season. Championship games, 04, Carolina beats Philly and New England beats Indy in 04. In 09, the Steelers beat the Ravens and Arizona beats Philly. And in 2015, New England slaughters the Colts and Seattle wins in overtime over Green Bay.
That's the Deflategate game, though. That was the game in which the Colts players were like, these footballs are underinflated. It took a while, but that was the game in which an opposing team said, well, what's going on with these footballs? Going back to the Carolina over Philly, that was 4 years in a row the Eagles had made the NFC Championship game, and they lost all 4. The Bucs were the second one. Okay? But that was the shocker when they lost to – oh, no, that was the third year. That was year 3. Okay, then the next year they beat Vic in Atlanta. But for as shocking as Tampa Bay's win was, when Carolina beat them, Philly thought, oh my goodness, we are never going to the Super Bowl.
Cary Grant, Kurt Flood, and Pat Sullivan, the 71 Heisman winner, all born today. Kevin Costner is 69. Mark Messier is 63 years old today, David.
I need a moment.
And Julius Peppers is 44. What did I miss?
Well, you have to be of a certain age. But do you remember when they caught Marion Barry smoking crack?
Yes.
And they arrested him?
It was on the evening. They showed it on the NBC Evening News.
Yes, they did.
They showed the video of him smoking crack at 6:30. It was the lead story. It was an A-block story of the Washington mayor smoking crack.
And you're right. What was amazing was they had the hidden camera in the hotel room, and he consummates whatever corruption deal he's consummating, and then all of a sudden it's like, let's break out the Peruvian marching powder.
And a little baking soda, get that together, and you have what's called a crack rock.
And there was a young lady involved who, surprise, not his wife, all right, who apparently had her own drug problem and agreed to set Marion Barry up so she could get a reduced sentence.
Okay, I'm looking this up after the show. I've never.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you have to try to picture yourself. It's 1990, and the Sting video, it's black and white. It's grainy. All right. And, from a hotel room, we don't have the camera quality that we do now. And just, you did not see this on the evening news.
No.
There has to be a documentary on this or something. I got to go find it.
Well, here's the best part. So he gets sentenced to 6 months in prison. He loses his job as mayor. He gets out of prison. 3 years later, they elect him to city council. 3 years after that, they make him mayor again.
Oh, so he's like the OJ of politics?
No, he's like that. I grew up near a town called Linden, New Jersey. All right. There was a mayor. He went to jail on corruption charges. He was mayor while in jail.
Can't make it up.
Deputy mayor wanted the job, changed the rules, so he lost his job while in jail. He gets out of jail, immediately beats the deputy mayor by 40 points and becomes mayor again. It's kind of what was going on in D.C. No, Mary, don't worry about it. Do your time. We'll take care of you. We'll make you mayor again. Don't worry about it.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, we go to Tampa and the Hulkster. Hulk Hogan and his friend Jake Rask rescued a teenage girl who had flipped her car. Happened on Sunday night. According to Hogan, he used a ballpoint pen to puncture the car's airbag and free the girl who had flipped her car. So way to go, Hulkster.
Yeah.
Hulkamania is back, kids. For the bad, we go to London. There is a fast food chain called Greg's, and a particular Greg's in West London. Patrons are getting attacked after purchasing their food. Not by people, mind you, but by crows. One woman nearly had her face scratched when a crow tore bacon from her sandwich. Another boy was in tears, apparently, as crows all were surrounding a young child who was trying to eat on the go with his dad.
Is this an Alfred Hitchcock movie? What are we doing here?
Exactly. But it's apparently happening every day, and the crows are now stalking patrons who are buying their food, coming out with it, and getting attacked.
That is terrifying.
For the ugly, we go to the gritty streets of Lee County, where a man was arrested after a high-speed chase on I-75 across both Lee and Collier County. It ended at Miramar Outlets when the suspect abandoned his vehicle with 12 pounds of weed inside. They were able to catch up to the Cape Coral resident And 23-year-old Nino Coderon Diaz was arrested on a litany of charges, including that 13 pounds of weed he had in his car. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, January the 18th, 2024.
Is that a lot of weed? Because weed seems very light to me. That seems like a decent amount of weed.
That's a lot of weed.
13 pounds. I mean, we're not talking Nate Newton and, his whole trunk filled with weed.
I know 13 pounds. That's a lot of dope.
It does seem like a lot of dope to me because dope doesn't seem heavy.
No. I mean, yeah, you're on to something there, David.
I just love that you guys are calling it dope.
Well,
I think that's funny.
I've never smoked a cigarette, never mind an illegal drug. So, I am so nerdy when it comes. So I just go with the vernacular. Whatever Mark went with, I'm like, yeah, dope, right. Weed, ganja, yeah.
I love when David goes drug talk. I just let him roll. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
Honestly, I don't know what that is. I don't know. I mean, it might as well be a vegetable to me. That's how little experience I've had with it.
So David didn't do drugs, but he sold stolen Thriller records.
Yes, that, and he stole a canoe.
I did
out of a sporting goods store.
I did. We bought shoelaces. We got the sticker. We put it on the side of the canoe. Okay, Scott Morris was in the back. I was in the front, and we walked it right out of Herman's World of Sporting Goods in the Woodbridge Center Mall. Walked it right into the parking lot, and we both had small cars. We're like, what the are we going to do with this? Had to call a buddy who had a truck, put it in the truck. He says, what do you want me to do with this? We're like, I don't know. Take it to Scott's house. We'll figure it out.
That's impressive.
It really is.
Yep.
It does. It's the go big or go home philosophy. If we're going to get arrested for stealing, it's not going to be for a pack of trading cards. It's going to be for a canoe.
So here was the dare. Can you steal the canoe? Well, sure, we could steal the canoe. Well, what do you mean you could steal the canoe? Who's going to stop you if you're walking out of the store with the canoe? Honestly, if you worked at the store, Trent, and it was an L-shaped store, by the way, and the canoe was in the middle of the L, and the registers obviously are at the, two sides of the L. So if we come walking up and we've got a sticker, you bought something, the sticker, it's on the side of the canoe. You're behind the register. You're going to go, hey, hold on a second. Hey, did you guys pay for that? No.
It was the perfect crime. The only problem was you really had nowhere to put the canoe.
The getaway car was too small.
Well, having the wrong getaway car is also a problem.
Once again, criminals are stupid. We didn't, think it fully out. I knew I could get it out of the store. We got in the parking lot. It was like, now what the do we do?
Do you remember the maiden voyage with that canoe?
I sat in the canoe on Scott's lawn after we stole it. That's the only time I spent in the canoe. It was just a dare.
Never mind.
NBA, this is a hell of a doubleheader on TNT. I can't even believe they're going to televise this. Chicago and Toronto is the early game, and Memphis, Minnesota, the late game. I mean, that's as far as TNT double dips go, that's pretty far down the pecking order. Lightning hosting the Wild tonight. There's 11 games in the NHL, and that's the one involving the Avs and the Bruins are playing tonight. Would any network televise that? Nah, no, nothing to see here. College hoops, we got anything tonight? I mean, FGCU's in action. They're on the road. Men, women are home.
Probably the one game to keep an eye on, Illinois on the road at Michigan. They're only a 2.5-point favorite, I believe, in that game, and that's Michigan's not very good, so pay attention to that one.
8:30 on FS1, by the way.
For what it's worth, 7 o'clock on the 4-letter network. South Florida goes to Memphis. We already talked about it earlier. They're 11.5-point dogs. I know I told everyone to take the Hoosiers. Take the Bulls.
What?
I don't know. It's fun.
What?
It's a big number. It's a big number.
No. They're on the road. Memphis is at home.
All you guys tell me is that doesn't matter. That's all I hear when I say who's at home.
What does matter in college?
college
hoops?
hoop, it matters.
Taking the road team.
To
That's
cover.
very bold of you.
Yeah,
to cover.
Actually,
I'll
the
take
FGC.
that bet.
Actually, the FGCU men not playing tonight, but the women are at home. I think the men are playing Saturday. They're hosting Stetson. Pat Kerwin on a Football Friday tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Jason and Todd with the Diamond District are excited to invite